Letterman.
Yeah. Perfect. Great. Oh, did you start it?
Yeah. Why don't we just start it like that? I kind of like it to start with a little bit of tidbit of like what we were talking about. You know?
Little rat-tat-tat.
Yeah, little rat-tat-tat.
I give the rat, you guys give the tat-tat.
That's why they're two. No.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Exactly. And hey, everybody, we're here. We're live.
We are.
I'm
it's
Will.
a night segment, and I'm Sarah.
And this is our little podcast.
About big plays.
And we've got our guest here. This is Patrick Graham.
I am indeed. As the Germans would say, Guten Nacht. Which is a segue.
Into
What play are we covering today, Patrick?
Oh, am I saying it?
Yep.
You've got to.
All right.
You've got to give us a lesson.
This evening's play is Woyzeck by Georg Buchner. This is going to lead into a lovely conversation about German diction. How about that? Sarah, why don't you say the name of the play and the author for us?
I'm really scared. Woyzeck.
Nope.
It's a V.
No, I said,
Nailed it.
You're right. Woyzeck.
Woyzeck.
Voice Dick. Which was my nickname in grad school.
Oh man, this is gonna be amazing.
Woyzeck.
Woyzeck.
He got it. He nailed it.
Woyzeck.
In German, the Z makes a TS sound.
Aren't you Smeltzer's German?
Yes.
Okay.
Sprechen Sie Deutsch?
9. One time I did teach a German how to say no in German when we were playing a game. It's called Secret Hitler. There are cards that say ja and nein, and I was explaining the game to a German, and I was like, okay, so like 9 means no. And they were like, oh my god.
Yeah, I know.
So yeah, I'm very familiar with the language, yeah.
Woyzeck by Georg Buchner. The U with the umlaut over it, as we were discussing right before we went on air.
Right.
We're going to say an E.
E?
And then we're going to say an U.
Ooh.
Now we're going to say E with U lips.
Ooh.
So say E.
E.
Now feel what your tongue is like. Feel the inside of your mouth.
E.
Now we're going to just change our lips. We're going to make them like U. U.
E.
U.
E.
Buchner.
Buchner.
And then it's an Ich-laut, the CH.
Oh my gosh.
An Ich-laut is like in the word human.
Human.
You feel like the cool air.
Human.
As opposed to what we often
Buchner.
think of when we think of German or Yiddish, the Achlaut, which is like in the back of the throat.
Yeah.
Like the composer Bach or what's another great Achlaut word? There are so many I can't think of. But
Baklava. That's Russian.
sure. I'm going to give you that one.
Patrick just like threw up in his mouth a little bit.
No. I think that I don't speak German.
You sing it though.
Yeah, I've taken a lot of German diction, but I
Sure.
would be lost if I was in Germany. I could read them
can read
something quite well.
Can you speak it?
I mean, like, no. Let's
Do you
not lie.
speak any other languages?
Of the languages I've studied, the one I speak the best is Italian. And I thought that I was good at French until I went to France and would go up to like a ticket counter, and as I was like approaching, I'd be like, okay, I'm gonna say it like this, and then they'll respond this, and I'll say this, and da-da-da-da. And then I'd get up there and I'd say my first sentence like, I'd like 2 tickets to the museum, please, and I'd nail it. And then they'd go, and I would go, pardon? And my sister would get mad at me every time. She'd go, just start in English. They know how to speak English. And if you start in English, then they won't fire back at you in French. But every time I was so confident that I wanted to speak in French. And I think Germany would be the same way.
Oh yeah, they would tear you apart.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
Scary.
short answer, no, don't speak German. No,
Wow.
Okay, great.
no.
It's okay.
Great.
I obviously do not, so it's gonna be a rough epi.
But there's only 2 words you need to know. It's Woyzeck
and yet
Buchner.
I
Buchner.
still
Do it.
Yeah.
Try it again.
Woyzeck.
You're missing the Woyzeck.
I know. It's
Like-
TS
like Seitel.
Yeah.
Seitel.
Yeah, matchmaker, make me a
I
match.
played that role.
Of course you did.
Okay.
You never had to say your own name as that character. Though.
That's true.
Haven't we
Everyone
hit the
else
point
had to
where
say
we
it.
like don't cast non-Jewish people in Fiddler on the Roof? This must have been pre.
This
was
is
definitely
cultural
like-
awakening.
Yeah, it
It
sure
was my
was.
junior year in college. Is that bordering? No,
It doesn't
it's
sound
bad.
that long ago.
It wasn't.
That's okay. That's okay.
Conservative cap.
Yeah. What are we gonna do?
Patrick, do you want to tell us a little bit about who you are
yeah.
and who the heck are you? Why are you on this podcast?
I'm not really sure why I'm on this podcast. I don't know if I bring any relevant knowledge, but I do have a
I
have a quick tongue, sharp wit. I think I'm good with the rat-tat-tat, bringing it all back around.
You definitely are.
Well, I currently make most of my living by waiting tables.
Obsessed.
Great.
But
what's your passion?
Your background.
My background is I have 2 degrees in classical voice, in classical music, voice. I just finished my master's in May from the Eastman School of Music in Rochester, New York.
That sounds very fancy.
Not really. They're kind of snobs. Any Eastman alumni listening? Fancy. It was a wonderful institution. I'm grateful so much. Anyways. And
here you are.
Here I am. Yeah.
Great.
So I love all music.
Right.
And I don't know a lot about plays. I will be the first to admit. I know a lot about musical theater. I know a lot about classical music.
You know a ton about musical theater.
Yeah. And I know about plays that I like.
Yes.
And their connection to music that I like.
Right.
Yes.
Just like Woyzeck,
yes.
which is an opera.
Yes.
That you like.
Yes. And when you all reached out to me, I said, let's look at some pieces that are connected to art that I'm familiar with. And we settled on
Bring
this
the
one.
2 worlds together.
Yes, because, faithful dear listeners, Woyzeck by Georg Buchner was adapted in 1913, 14, I don't remember, into an opera by the Austrian composer Alban Berg. And the opera's titled Woyzeck, because of a misprint in the first edition where they didn't include the Y. So here we are. I know a lot about Woyzeck. I learned some about Woyzeck. I'm here to contribute.
Did you play Woyzeck?
No.
No.
Probably if I were to continue singing professionally for like the next 15 years, maybe when I was like 30 or 35, I would sing that role.
Yeah.
But right now, not accessible.
Have you ever like sung in a full-length opera?
A decent number of them. Yes.
Very nice.
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. But the opera world is you really have to grow into singing roles.
As your voice matures and stuff, yeah.
So Woyzeck is of a class of particularly German operas that are very much, they require very full dramatic voices, which in your early 20s, no one's voice is full and dramatic. So I would say like the earliest someone's voice becomes dramatic is going to be like early 30s. So Woyzeck is usually
tell that to my father.
yeah, all right. Usually very older, much older singers.
Wow.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I love this. This podcast is going to get very very operatic, very NPR. I feel like.
Yes.
It's going to be great.
I met an opera singer once, Joyce DiDonato.
Yes, a Kansas City native.
Yes, she came and visited my choir in high school.
And I've heard a listener of the podcast, Joyce. Thanks for tuning in.
Joyce, thanks for listening.
This episode brought to you by the DiDonato family.
I will say, when she came, she like bragged that she's never like canceled a concert. Like she's never lost her voice. She takes such good care of her voice. And then a couple weeks later,
that's gonna be right in the mic. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. We can just pour it.
Okay.
Just pour it. We want to hear the audio.
Oh yeah, that's
just pouring myself a glass of water.
To all you kids,
to keep the cords supple and hydrated.
Yes. But a couple weeks later, she canceled a concert because she lost her voice, so I lost all faith.
My Mima would say, be sure your sins will find you out.
Those Italians.
Mima's not Italian. She's just a Midwestern, salt-of-the-earth woman.
My bad.
Any hooves?
Patrick and I go way back.
Yeah, you guys do.
Besties for life. I don't know. How old were we?
10.
You're looking at me?
I thought 10.
I think you're
Weren't
right.
we 10? 2005?
Yeah.
Bunch of CYT buds.
Yeah, we were.
For life.
For life. We are best friends. But Patrick was a star in musical theater. Don't let him
Patrick
try to
Star?
play down his life. He is a musical theater brilliant man. I love him. And I was just like I was like a dancer. But like stage 2 dancers, and Patrick was brilliant. I loved your work.
Stage 1 star.
CYT, stage 1 star. So what was your favorite role at CYT?
At CYT, it's got to be Adolfo.
Adolfo.
In the last CYT show I ever did.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, we did
Drowsy
Drowsy
Chaperone.
Yes. Oh, yes. Yeah, for the listeners. Drowsy Chaperone.
If you don't know.
Yeah. This is like when, well, you ever listen to Fresh Air with Terry Gross, where like her guest says something and then she goes, that would be Drowsy Chaperone, first produced on Broadway. And then she really like lets the listeners
Gives,
know.
like, a whole
Yeah.
paragraph.
Yeah.
I love that.
So I feel like, listeners. I look at the microphone every time I say that. I'm trying to connect.
As if the listeners are right there.
Yeah.
Most of my work is so visual and I can't see you,
You exist in the future, listeners. It's like it's very it works with the mind.
You know who doesn't exist in the future?
Georg Buchner.
Exactly.
May he rest in peace.
May he rest in peace.
I was so sad to hear that he had passed.
Gone too soon.
In 1837.
I know.
But he was in fact born in 1813 into a family of doctors, which was, a lot of high expectations for a kid. So what does he do?
Becomes a doctor?
Yeah. He follows in his dad's footsteps. He's enrolled at like this medical facility at Strasbourg. How do I pronounce that, Patrick?
How do you spell it?
Strasbourg.
Sorry, I didn't write it down. Strasbourg? B-U-R-G?
B-O-U-R-G.
Borg. Yeah.
Strasbourg. And he quickly excelled in his studies, even as he pursued like his other interests, which we will talk about later.
Good for him.
He passed by completing a dissertation on the nervous system of a fish. I don't know, I just thought that was interesting.
Sometimes I think about back in the day where we hadn't discovered we still haven't discovered everything. But like back in the day where we were discovering so much.
Right.
And you could write your dissertation on like a fish.
Right.
And everyone would be like, no one's written on this fish before. But now today it's like there's like 400 dissertations on like a fish. Yeah.
Right.
So not to like discount the work he did.
No, because it like it's annoying. It gave him a post in Zurich as like a teaching anatomy because it was so good. Probably because it was revolutionary because no one talks about fish.
Great. I couldn't write a dissertation on a fish's nervous system.
I could not.
Me either.
Maybe a thesis, but definitely not a dissertation.
maybe like a message board post.
Oh yeah. I can tell you've been teaching online.
Yeah, for sure.
His medical work on the nerves of a human skull that he went on to do not only made a significant contribution to anatomical studies, but also displayed considerable philosophical ambition, especially in the detailed discussions of philosophers such as Descartes and Spinoza, because he thought like science and philosophy were integral to one another. And so he would use his findings in science to critique philosophy. So then the philosophers would like fire back or have deep talks about Buchner's Buchner's.
Close enough.
Yeah. The listeners know.
They know who knows how to speak.
Yeah. And for those of you listening in Germany, we apologize.
We actually have had a German listener.
Did you have to explain to him?
Well, we never met them.
Oh, okay.
We just see that on the statistics. We got some German people. We got some Australians.
We're going to get a letter from Angela Merkel in like 2 weeks telling us to cease and desist all discussions of German playwrights.
Please.
Honestly, slide into our DMs. We would love to hear from you.
I follow her on Instagram.
Okay,
German
great.
Chancellor Angela Merkel.
Wow.
What a woman. She posts everything in Deutsch and in English. So it's very accessible.
What a sweetheart.
Yeah, truly.
She puts in the extra effort.
She does it for her fans.
She really does. She doesn't have to. Buchner strongly believed, it's just going to get worse, believed in materialism and shunned other philosophers that were against it. He moved to Zurich, but not just in the name of science. He was a fugitive from the German police. Dun, dun, dun. While he was in medical school, he formed a group of student activists called the Society of Human Rights, which called out aristocrats for taking advantage of the peasants and the little workers of the field.
Workers of the world unite.
Yes. He thought in order to form like a better society, they had to overturn all existing law and social structures. So he's a little bit of like an extremist, if you will, in like his philosophies.
Makes sense.
Sounds pretty rational to me.
Sure. Well, yeah.
Yeah. Should we pay people fair wages? Nah.
Nah, man. Give it to the aristocrats. I'm just kidding. He wrote a pamphlet called The Hessian Courier, and it mixes cold analysis and impassioned prose while basically calling for an all-out class war because of tax and political exploitation happening in Germany. And
he's a regular Karl Marx then.
Yeah. No, literally. It went on, like, it was like...
I did read that.
To lead to that. Yeah.
Although I read a significant difference is that he was pro, like, Christian democracy and Christian socialism.
Oh.
Whereas Karl Marx believed in, like, what's the word I'm looking for?
Disenfranchisement? Disengagement.
We're getting there.
Dysentery.
The dysentery, that's the word. Now, it'll come to me. He believed in, like, the removal of religion. He thought religion was could not be a part of, like, the communist dream.
Right.
But, like, Buchner in this Hessian Courier, he was like, Christian democracy.
Yeah.
So, good for him.
So, so Karl Marx was partly inspired by
I don't know if I ever read that.
Okay.
I think
that's what I thought.
similar.
That's what I thought you meant. But
we're just in this time in German history. Everyone's things are getting bad.
Yeah.
Let's write about it.
Yeah.
In other news, he had a co-author, Dr. Frederick Ludwig Weidig.
Ooh, that's another one.
Ludwig Weidig. And he tried to tone it down, all of, like, his thoughts. But obviously that didn't work, even though he did tone down part of it, because the Germans were, like, still pissed off. So it turns out a German officer actually found, like, their whereabouts. Buchner escaped the clutches of the police while Weidig ended up in prison and died 2 years later from torture.
Rest in power.
I know, literally. So then that's when people believe that Buchner started writing plays, was, like, after that really, like...
Sure.
He already was like, society is messed up. And
I'm gonna go write plays.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Explores his life. So, but then he died of typhus in 1837 at age 23.
They all die so young.
So young.
This guy, and he was, like, so brilliant. Like, he was so smart. He could have done so much.
All my favorite composers from this time in history, they're all dead by, like, 30, and usually from syphilis. Like, something was in the water.
Yeah. What's typhus?
Well,
typhus is a throat condition, isn't it?
It's like a bacteria. Like if you don't, like, hygiene.
He probably didn't shower enough.
Yeah. Because, like, nowadays it's, like, not a thing.
Right.
But, like, because we have better hygiene now.
Well, there's literally probably something
our
in the
deepest
water.
condolences to anyone suffering from typhus at the moment. Sarah didn't mean to discredit your plight.
Sarah, are you trying to get this podcast canceled?
Honestly, that's Michael.
Oh my gosh.
But, you know, we are discussing Woyzeck today.
It's just fun now.
Yeah, just listen.
Coming next week, Sarah's greatest hits, pronouncing Woyzeck. 15 can't miss tracks.
On 3 different CDs.
Yes. This Time Life offer is only good for the next 60 minutes.
Just 3 easy payments of $29.95.
And this is featured on a late night, in the middle of the night commercial that you wake up to. Okay.
That's right.
His other major work is Danton's Death.
Oh, he wrote another play?
He did.
Did he finish that one?
He did, actually.
Interesting.
And it's about, like, making the French Revolution into, like, a theatrical piece, or presenting, like,
if there's one thing I've always said about revolutions, they need more theatrics.
Yeah,
give the people a show, for Christ's sake.
Well, I think Les Mis did so.
Yeah, war is so boring, but bring out a few dancers, some girls with great gams, everyone's in.
Well, this one is close to that, but it also had public beheadings. Interesting?
What? In the show?
I don't know.
It's called spectacle.
Live?
I love spectacle.
We want to see heads roll. We want to see blood.
I do love spectacle.
Yeah. But you know, while he wrote about the French Revolution, which is funny, he translated 2 of Victor Hugo's plays.
What?
Isn't that interesting?
From French to German, I would assume. I don't know why in the other language.
French to Japanese,
I would
actually.
assume that as well. Yeah.
Interesting.
I know.
What did Victor Hugo write as a play? Never mind, doesn't matter.
But as far as legacy goes, Buchner's legacy almost didn't exist.
I was going to say,
as,
I was like, it's a miracle.
Right,
it's a miracle that any of this got discovered, right?
Right. Many of his works in the 19th century were doomed for obscurity until the late 19th century, when writer and editor Carl Emil rediscovered him and made his works available for the first time.
For the first time ever.
And many
on
playwrights
DVD.
at the time of the release deemed him like ahead of his time, the first modernist, especially when it comes to the play we're talking about today. And even though this is seen, Woyzeck is seen as like a regular singular play, it is a logical culmination of Buchner's like unusual career as a thinker, a researcher, political activist, and a writer. So it kind of ties like all of his interest in life in one piece.
I just think that's such a bold statement, and that
Why
I know
is that
that's
a
not
bold
no,
statement?
it's not you, and it's just for them to say that like Buchner is like one of the first, like the first modernist.
No, but they say that because like his like the scenes like loosely connected and like being so short and like that was never like seen in theater, so it felt like episodic, which will lead to like even
Later
like
stuff down the
TV
road.
now.
I will say that
Sure.
when I discovered, having known about the opera, which is written in the 19 whatevers, and then thinking that it was based on a contemporary play, I thought it was based on a play of the same time, because the play, like the subject matter feels very, it feels very post World War I. It feels very it feels very modernist. It feels very expressionist. And then you discover that he's writing this in like the 1830s or whatever.
Right. He was just like kind of like the
fair.
first one who did it. So even though we're kind of like very used to it, it's like no, this was like breaking. barriers.
I was interested. He is part of this movement that they call Young Germany, the playwright Buchner, which, as I was reading up about it, includes a lot of poets whose texts have been set to music by really famous composers, a lot of which, like, I've studied. So it was this interesting connection. One of the really important members of the Young Germany movement is Heinrich Heine, whose poetry was set by Robert Schumann and becomes like some of the first like important song cycles in the canon. And they're all kind of like, it's just interesting, like they're all living around the same time, like all kind of like working in the same, they're like these young dudes in Germany in the 30s and 40s, 1830s and 40s, that are like really pissed off. The 1930s and 40s, 1830s and 40s, that are like really pissed off at like the monarchy and it wasn't one monarchy, all this little city states. And they just get really angsty, and they write this like this poetry and these plays and these novels and this music that's like super, feels really avant-garde for the time.
Right.
Even now feels really avant-garde. And like Heine's thing, the poet, he's all about like, he's just like this super sad boy. He's all about like, I have to get out of here, like I have to leave, I can't be here anymore. Like all his poems are like, I'm gonna take a long walk and I'm gonna be really sad about it, and but like they're really short and they're really episodic and it's very like weird. And when I made that connection, I was like, well, that's exactly what this play is like.
Right.
It's these really short like little scenes, and everyone's really sad because we love sad people, but also it's like the emotions are almost over the top in that like there's so much angst inside you that you have to like let it out, you know?
Yeah.
Which I love. That's spectacle. That's theater. And that's showbiz, baby.
And that's German literature, basically.
Yeah, truly.
Yeah. And it went, and it's like inspired a lot of like playwrights since then, like Bertolt Brecht, another.
Yes, I love Brecht.
For sure.
Huge, and he is directly like inspired from like Woyzeck, which is
I did
amazing.
an opera last year.
Mother Courage?
No.
No.
With a libretto by Brecht, originally directed by Brecht. It's a Kurt Weill Bertolt Brecht collaboration.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, called Mahagoni Songspiel, which it's like a 30-minute opera that they eventually turned into like a full-length opera.
Okay.
Called Rise and Fall of the City of Mahagoni. But Mahagoni Songspiel was like Brecht and Kurt Weill's first collaboration, and it was like they staged it at this festival in Baden-Baden, and they like had the whole thing set in a boxing ring, and like the cast like sat around the boxing ring and like did their costume changes like outside of the boxing ring, and the cast all wore whistles because Brecht was so worried that people were going to boo loudly that he wanted the cast to like whistle back at them if they started booing. It's just wild stuff. But I love that Brecht likes Buchner because it just like makes sense. It's this idea that we have to, that like we like the theater, we're not trying to like comfort the audience, we're trying to like present them what we want to say to them, and like if you like it or not, as long as you have a strong reaction to it, like that's what's most important. And that does feel like this piece is so like you can't be lukewarm about it. Like you have to feel, it makes you feel strongly, whether you love it or hate it, like it's a strong feeling.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I'm totally with you. And like
make strong choices.
Make strong choices. That's what we tell our little actors. No, but when we were like reading this, and it says that it kind of led to like epic theater, and you can like feel that in like their emotions and in their feelings, you know? I think,
definitely.
Like,
I mean,
this
Woyzeck
situation-
is all about he's wrestling with all of these really powerful emotions for the whole show, for sure. So
right.
Yeah.
So it's
Great.
basically a very happy accident that we have it.
Yeah,
That's
I think that's
The
that's
coolest
crazy
part.
that anyone even found it, because it was never produced in his lifetime or anything like that. And his other play was never produced, right?
No, it wasn't. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It was just found later.
Great.
Yeah.
All right.
Do you have a little more to share with us about the play?
Yeah, I sure do. I think one of the most interesting things about this play is that it was never finished. So Buchner died before he was able to finish it. And so...
Some more water.
Yeah, just some more water for regular people
Keeping
here.
the vocal folds well hydrated.
And so various translators over the years and various directors have given their own endings to this. It's a very short play. It's,
Quite short.
even a finished production of it, it's only going to be 90 minutes at the most, right? And so there's very short, like, episodic scenes like we've been talking about. And so there's several different endings to it. And it's just kind of, it's got this innate, like, mystery surrounding it, because we're never really sure, like, what did Buchner, like, intend for this to be? And there are even, like, when we found it, which I'm guessing it was just, like, in a notebook or something, a journal, yeah.
I actually read his wife.
Great.
Took the manuscripts, and like his wife and his brother, like tried to put them together, and maybe don't quote me on this. It was either his brother, it was like an editor or someone was trying to like preserve the manuscripts and use some sort of like something to like help the ink like stay, and it ended up blurring a lot of the ink. So there was one of the reasons why it sat in obscurity for so long is because people would see the manuscript and not be able to interpret what he had. Bad handwriting apparently.
Sure.
And there was like these ink blurs, and like it wasn't readable basically.
Wow.
Which makes it even more interesting, I think. There's this like bizarre, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Yeah, and there's like different the scenes can be put in different orders depending on what you want to say. So that's
which
really,
I kind of like.
Yeah. Yeah, there's like if you look at the production history of it, there's a few different things that it can say, right? It can say like, if you start with one scene and end with a different scene, right? It can talk about like how the oppression of the lower classes by those in power. If you start with a different scene and end with a different scene, then it looks more like it's Woyzeck who's like insane and he's like destroying himself slowly. So depending on which beginning and ending you use, there's a different thing that happens. So I think it's really interesting, and I think to me that's one of the most intriguing things about it, is that there's this, just, you can kind of, and because it's in the public domain now, you can do whatever you want to it. You can, I don't know, make it a comedy. You can make it a super, super dark drama, whatever. Which is
next
awesome.
year. Will Wright presents Woyzeck,
Woyzeck.
a comedy.
And I mean, I'm gonna back that up with my casting. My casting is super interesting for this. I'm really excited.
A little teaser,
yeah,
listeners.
Just
keep listening.
Yeah, keep listening for sure. But just a little bit, yeah, like we were kind of talking about like German history and all that kind of stuff. In this time when Buchner was alive, we're looking at, of course, it's a post-French Revolution world, an American Revolution world. So things are happening in Europe. The monarchies are falling. The middle class is rising up. Napoleon has come and gone, and the Industrial Revolution is in full swing in Germany.
The first Aldi opened 1840.
Get out of here!
That's a lie. No, I just made that up. I just felt like you had so many great facts, and I wanted to contribute one. And I know Aldi's German. I thought you might buy it. I think you did buy it. I let up too quick.
I bought it hook, line, and sinker. So wow, yikes!
Well, for sure.
I love Aldi. I've never been there. I've only been there like once.
You now know that nothing I say can be trusted, dear listeners.
Yeah.
Proceed with caution.
So throughout the years, it has been adapted many times. Just a few recent adaptations of it. There was a couple different ones in 2018. So this is still produced. It is an unfinished work that people love to put up on the stage to give you a little, I don't know, a little... There's a lot of like really fun theatrical things you can do with it, and definitely people have taken liberties with it and made really cool sets and stuff.
One of the most famous productions was actually a puppet show.
Get the heck out of here.
Yeah.
I can definitely see that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And even...
I can't tell you much more about that, but I remember
great. It was sock puppets. Even in as recently as 2017 in London at the Old Vic. That's where that's where the Old Vic is. John Boyega from Star Wars was in it as Woyzeck.
Wow, not to ruin anything, I almost made him Woyzeck in my Dreamcast.
Oh my gosh. No,
I did.
Yeah, he already played him.
Yeah.
I'll tell you why
later.
Okay, I was going to say I would never peg him as a Woyzeck type, but apparently someone did, and so did you. Let's see. And that was directed and adapted by Jack Thorne. Neil LaBute did an adaptation of it.
Really?
Yeah.
See, I don't like his plays. I'm so sorry.
Never heard of him.
I've definitely heard of him. I don't remember who he is. Oh, no. I lost my... Who's Neil LaBute?
Well, he writes, like, all those ones about, like, women, kind of, like, it's like the...
Ugh. I'm just kidding.
What was that?
Okay, that's 2 strikes from Angela Merkel.
Oh.
Reasons to Be Pretty is, like, one of his works, and then, like, also, like, Fat Pig, and...
Great.
Yeah. And they're just kind of, like, I don't know.
Yeah,
anyway.
So anyway, it's still produced. It's a quick little thing that that you can put on. I don't know. There's a lot of cool things that you can do with it, and I think that's why people love it. Is that you can set it anywhere. I think John Boyega's was set in like Germany,
Groundbreaking.
Yeah, I know. Sorry, it was set
for spring.
It was set in 1980s Berlin. That's what I meant. Anyway, so there's a lot of cool stuff you can do with it.
The production,
cool. And then
go ahead.
No, I was gonna put that into like a little bit about the opera that was produced.
Well, I was gonna say something.
Great.
The production of the opera that they just did at the Met last year, which
is
occasionally the Met's been doing like these free nightly streams, and Woyzeck's come up a few times. But the production, it was by I can't think of his name. This French Canadian director. Doesn't matter. But he set it right after World War I, but in this kind of like post-apocalyptic World War I, and he used puppets and he used projections, and it was very, very cool. It's like a very visually pleasing production. Just these projections everywhere. And Woyzeck and Marie's child was a puppet. And it was very interesting. Very interesting. Anyways.
That's cool. Yeah,
but I do love this. Like, I don't know if this is the same in like the play drama world, but like in the classical music world, specifically German directors are very famous for doing what we refer to as director's opera, like taking very traditional operas and setting them in strange places and like really messing with, not changing the music per se, but like really just like making it weird. Yeah. Like there's a lot of like funny / famous instances, but like there was Die Zauberflöte, Magic Flute by Mozart, which is like a very classic like opera. Everyone does it, and this German director like set it in space. They like do very intentionally
so cool.
weird. You don't go to German opera houses to see like traditional productions. That's what you go to American opera houses for. So it is interesting that like this German piece is so open to interpretation, because it feels, for me, like what I know about German theater from the classical music side, it feels very like classically, I don't know, 21st century German.
Right.
Because the German directors are so...
on brand.
Yeah. And you're going to see that a lot, that like kind of fun, like putting it in crazy spaces. That's like very British theater.
Oh, yeah. Interesting.
You're going to see like with the 1980s version of Woyzeck, there's a version of Antigone that the British people, I don't know, some British theater produced that was like super cool. It was like set in like this underground bunker in like modern, I don't know, like post-apocalyptic kind of stuff. So British theater does a lot with that.
We love the post-apocalypse.
Oh my gosh. much.
I'm never into it.
So I'm into it if you do it correctly. But if you do, remember that one, what was it? Was it like Two Gentlemen of Verona, but it was the Beatles?
Yes.
Oh, terrible. It was terrible.
Well, that's not post-apocalypse.
No. I'm talking about just like setting plays and like classical plays in spots that they're not supposed to be in.
See, I'm into that. I'm just not into the post-apocalyptic.
When are we going to get to post-apocalyptic? Like, when is the post-apocalypse over? When do we get back to normal?
What is that? Optimism, I guess? I don't know.
It's fine. I don't know. I watched, oh my gosh, what was that first play you directed at Scott?
Oh, the first play? What? The
Skin of Our Teeth.
Skin of Our Teeth?
I saw that at downtown, I think at the Met, and their third act was like post-apocalyptic. And
I mean, it's kind of supposed to be in the play.
It's just like nothing like pisses me off more. I think when I like watch something, I'm like, I just feel like that's an easy.
Yeah, I mean, it got overdone.
theme.
It got overdone in the 2010s for sure.
So I'm just like,
I don't think we're done with it yet.
Space.
I think the apocalypse is on everyone's mind right now.
Yeah, definitely.
I need escapism. I need space.
Now we're like present apocalypse. We're just like the apocalypse is happening as we speak, and so yeah.
See, this is why I do love like over-the-top musical theater as a form of escapism. Like sometimes we just need to go to the theater and just see
musical
just see 40 chorus girls kicking and singing, and it's just
that's very
fun.
Well and good every once in a while, but like I also want to think. I want to be pushed to think things.
Wow.
My bad. Oh.
I think a lot of stuff. I think a lot of stuff when I go see Oklahoma.
I do think a lot when I see Oklahoma. Okay. We could do a whole episode on Oklahoma.
Yeah,
I have something to say.
Don't even get Patrick
about
started.
Oklahoma. And remember, its official title was Oklahoma! ! So you have to say Oklahoma! That's important.
Thank you.
Otherwise, it's just the state.
Fair.
How do you say then Oliver?
Oliver! Because that also has an exclamation point.
Yeah, it does.
For our listeners at home, I'm taking my right hand and giving it a nice like flare on the exclamation point with a little head twitch. Picture it in your mind's eye. It'll make sense.
It's making a lot of sense to me here. So great.
Why don't you make this story make sense for our listeners?
Should we do a little plot summary?
Oh God. I mean, but there's not much of a plot to summarize. It depends on the edition that you're reading, really. But basically, the general points are: you've got this soldier named Woyzeck, and he's
sad boy.
A sad boy. He is not mentally well. He, in the edition that I read, which was like, I don't know, doesn't matter. The first scene in the edition I read was Woyzeck and his friend Andres out in the forest outside of the town they live in, picking sticks and picking up logs and kindling for the fire or something. And Woyzeck is like hearing things from the ground. He's like hearing people speak to him. So we understand from the get-go that like,
boys whack.
Yeah. Yeah. He's a few screws are loose up there.
Yeah.
Basically, Woyzeck has this partner, common law wife, girlfriend, baby mama, I don't know what you want to call her, named Marie.
Yes.
They have a child together. He is in the army. He does a lot of menial tasks for his captain, for this doctor in town, basically to make money to bring back home to Marie.
Now the doctor's kind of funny.
Yeah, the doctor's kind of wacko. They're all kind of wacko. And I think that's one of the points. Yeah. There's a great scene where he's shaving the captain, and the captain's just like berating him and asking him all these questions. And Woyzeck has these great lines about like, the captain's like, why don't you have more values? Why don't you have more morals? And Woyzeck's like, I'm poor. I can't afford to have morals, which is like, there's the thesis of your play. And then he's got this doctor that he hangs around with. Well, he doesn't hang around with. This doctor that employs him basically to be a guinea pig for his test subjects. The doctor's like making him eat a diet of only peas and seeing what happens to him. And he has all his medical students like write down these answers. And so, of course, like...
A question that's been on all of our minds.
Right. What happens if you eat only peas? Well, spoiler alert, you might murder your wife. Because that's what Woyzeck does.
Your baby mom.
For many reasons. He's losing his mind for a variety of reasons. He's overworked. He's poor. He is eating only peas, which is probably not helping.
And gross.
Yeah. He suspects that his wife, correctly so, has feelings for this drum major, who's a very interesting character because the drum major really doesn't have much of a personality other than just being this like hot, animalistic, like grandiose, like I march in the streets.
Did he rape her?
That was really interesting. I read some analysis. Like that scene is so unclear.
Yeah.
He comes into her home and he like is grabbing her, but then
she's like no.
Yeah.
And he's like,
and she feels a lot of guilt because she is attracted to him.
Right.
And Woyzeck starts suspecting things, and she doesn't really deny it. And he goes and they go to this tavern. He sees her dancing with him. He sees Marie dancing with the drum major, and he gets even more angry. And so finally, he goes and he buys a knife and he stabs Marie to death, like aggressively stabs her to death. And then he goes back to this tavern and he's trying to dance with this woman, and she's like, "Why is there blood on your elbow?" And he's like, "I don't know how that got there.
I got myself. I don't know."
And then he realizes like, oh crap, people are going to know I just killed this woman. So he goes and he tries to hide the knife, And in his attempts to hide the knife, he keeps throwing it deeper into the pond, and he keeps wading in after it to like get it to throw it deeper, and then he drowns. And then the ending is just kind of like, there's like multiple scenes that maybe happen at the end.
And it's my favorite like line ever for an ending of a play. It felt like I was watching Clue. The last line when he's, or what I would imagine if I was directing it, I would finish with this just to, a good murder, a real murder, a beautiful murder, as good as murder as you'd ever want to see. We haven't had one like this for a long time.
And scene! Curtain! That is a good one.
So
and the audience just sits there. And
yeah.
Like, what?
Well, I think that it's really interesting that, like, it really also is unclear, like, is he dead? I mean, obviously I think he is, but it never really says, like, and then Woyzeck dies. It's just like he keeps wading in deeper and deeper, and then there's these, like, fragments of scenes.
And then it's like Buchner just like literally died as he was going to write the last scene.
Yeah, it's like that scene in Monty Python and the Holy Grail where they're reading the writing on the wall, and it's like, like that's what Buchner did.
Yeah. One thing that I forgot to point out is like some versions of it, they have a trial for Woyzeck instead of him drowning.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Because it was based on a real person.
Exactly. That's what I forgot to bring up, is that it was based on a real story that happened where this guy murdered his common law wife, and he pled insanity at the trial. And that was the first known version, like case where, in Germany at least, where someone pled insanity. It's like, I didn't know right from wrong, or his lawyer did at least. I didn't know from right from wrong, and so that's why I killed this person. And then that failed, but then that brings up a lot of interesting things. It's like, ooh, pleading insanity. Yeah. It's a really hard thing to prove that you're insane. You're so insane that you don't know right from wrong.
When I read that Buchner took literal like text from the trial transcripts and used it in his play, like things that the real life Woyzeck actually said. So it is just really wild and wacky stuff.
Wild and wacky, like Woyzeck.
In the opera, the ending. So
there's like an official version of the opera. People don't mess with it anymore.
Right.
Got it.
Which is based on one of the versions of the play, but like not the version I read.
Okay.
But also, Berg, like the composer, specifically like deleted some scenes because he didn't want there to be redundant information.
Sure.
We can talk about this more, but like Berg was really obsessed with like symmetry and structure, and so he made the opera very structured. But the most interesting thing about the Berg version is that it ends with the scene where these children are like, what's going on? Is someone dead? Like, come look at this body. And in the opera, one of the children is Marie and Woyzeck's son. And so it's like the opera ends with this kind of moment of, it's almost like, it's kind of like the cycle of poverty, the cycle of violence. Like the son is about to become almost radicalized by seeing his mother stabbed a million times.
There you go.
And that's it.
By his father.
Yeah. Well, and I don't know if the opera's not clear about, like, does the son know? I mean, I'm sure eventually he would find out.
Sure.
Right.
But that is interesting because that then, like, leaves it, I think that ending is not satisfying, but it kind of gives it, like, not a sense of closure, but a sense of, like, and now the cycle starts again. Yeah. Like, now the next Woyzeck, who is, like, driven to madness by his poverty, by his circumstances in life. Yeah. So that, I thought that was really interesting to read the play and realize that the ending isn't as concrete as Berg's version, which I think is intentional on Berg's part.
Yeah. Will and I listened to the opera today. You cultured us, Patrick. I've never watched an opera, listened to an opera.
That's an interesting one to start with.
Yeah.
That's a really interesting one to start with.
It was, Will, we were listening and Will's like, ooh, this is spooky.
Did you at all follow along with like a libretto?
No.
Or did you just listen and like...
We just listened.
As one of my professors would say, let the sound wash over you.
It was like while we were researching this, we were listening to it.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think also like reading the play, knowing the story, like very fresh in our brains, like it did help. But there is something very like beautiful and cool about like musical like storytelling from an operatic standpoint, like how much they're able to like say through like their song. I don't know, like the way they make their voices sound, the emotion that they like show. Like...
this opera's this time period in music history. So Berg is like an interesting figure. He's part of what we call the Second Viennese School. He's a student of Arnold Schoenberg, who's like the first major composer to basically say, I'm done with tonal music. So quick.
Did he write Moonfleck by Schoenberg?
Probably, yes. Yeah. I don't know.
Because that's what it reminded me of.
Yeah.
I was like, there's this like piece of music that's like wedged in my mind called Moonfleck by Schoenberg.
Schoenberg was Berg's teacher.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah.
And that I was like, whoa, that's the same guy. Okay.
So quick
or close.
Quick crash course in tonal versus atonal music. Until about the early 20th century, well, not for all of history, from the early like 1700s all the way through the early 20th century, we were writing tonal music where we have like a home key, like we're in the key of D, and everything is situated around like moving away from the key of D, and then eventually the music moves back to the key of D. So like you can do like a 4-hour symphony. There's no 4-hour symphonies. You can do like an hour symphony, and the whole point of the symphony is we start in D, and then we're gonna spend like 45 minutes like doing all these things to move away from D into the dominant key, which is the key of 5, and then we're going to try and move back to D. But the whole point is like we're trying to get back to our home base. So Schoenberg comes along and he says, I think we've done everything we can with tonality. Let's try something new. So he assigns all 12 pitches in the chromatic scale a number, and he says, I'm going to create a row. I'm going to have a random order of these numbers, and then I'm going to try different orders of those numbers. I'm going to invert it. I'm going to retrograde it. And I'm just going to compose my music based on, for all the music theorists out there, I'm so sorry. This is the most crude version of atonality ever. But basically he says we shouldn't formulate music around moving to and from a home key.
Right.
It should be, tonality should not exist. And we should just like, music should be formulaic. It should be, it's called serialism is another term for it. It should be like, based on numbers. It should not be, there's no home key. All there is an order of pitches that we can rearrange in a variety of ways.
Interesting.
All this to say, Berg is one of his students, and Berg isn't a serialist in the terms that he doesn't write in 12-tone music, but he does reject tonality. So Woyzeck, the opera, is not a tonal opera.
No.
The pieces are not, there's not a melody you can hum. There's definitely moments of melodicism and like very romantic sounding music, but it's not like a Mozart opera where we very much feel like, okay, we're in this aria and it's moving back towards the tonic key and we feel like there's a sense of finality. And I think that's so appropriate for this work because there's no finality. Like it's this like very avant-garde, obscure sort of thing. But he's also part of this movement of music called Expressionism, which is very much based in like focus on the symbolic, the subconscious and the unseen, like moving away from literal interpretation of things and like very expressionist. So I'm kind of on a tangent. All this to say, I think it's so appropriate that Berg, the opera composer, sets this work because even though they're almost 100 years apart, like they're very much in the same vein of like, there's no finality, there's no clear answers.
Right.
Emphasis on the subconscious over the conscious, emphasis on the symbolic over the clearly defined. It's all very, I don't know, very 20th century.
Oh,
yeah.
Very.
And like you said, it like, I don't know, they perfectly kind of are trying to do the similar type of thing at different points in time.
Yeah.
Which is weird to think about, that
totally.
it was still needed.
Yeah, I just think about trying to learn that kind of music. It's just like seems like it would be like there's like a certain way that you, I don't know, want to sing something and then it goes in a crazy atonal way like you were saying.
You don't have a home base.
Yeah.
And so you learn atonal music in a very different way.
Oh.
Even non-atonal music that is 20th century. Like there's a British composer, Benjamin Britten, who's definitely writing tonal music. I know. Perfect. His last name is Britten. He's definitely writing tonal music, but it's very late tonal. It's very like late romantic. It's very avant-garde. And so it's not a hummable melody.
Right.
But I think that these composers know that their melodies aren't hummable because it's again like in a Brechtian way, it's like removing the audience's like
expectations
and comfort and expectations and making them focus on different things. And the other thing that Berg and Schoenberg and a lot of these German, Austrian composers do is there's this method called Sprecstemma where they don't write notes for a word. They write like an X on the note.
Yeah.
And so you're supposed to approximate. You're not speaking, but you're not singing, but you're like approximating the note. So you're like supposed to pitch your voice like close to where that note would be.
They do that in musical theater too.
Yeah. But you're not singing the pitch. And there's a piece by Schoenberg called Pierrot Lunaire, which is like one of the first examples of Sprecstemma. And it's this soprano and this instrumental ensemble. It's like 30 minutes. And she never sings a note for the whole time. she just is speaking kind of like this. It's very weird. But it's again like we're removing these like seatbelts that the audience and the listener has to make them focus on different things. Instead of like focusing on the beautiful melody that we're writing, like maybe we're focusing on the text, or maybe we're focusing on the instrumentation. Or like in Woyzeck's point of view, like maybe we're focusing on the character development and I don't know. Yeah. So I think it is like, I love a good piece of tonal music, you know.
Sure.
Love a good Beethoven sonata. But atonal music is, it's not, you don't put it on Spotify to like listen to while you're casually like working.
Right.
Because it requires like a different level of mental energy.
Right.
Because it's not comforting music, you know.
No,
it's not study music.
It puts you on edge.
Yeah.
For sure. You don't listen to it while you're in a traffic jam.
Yeah. But I think there's a lot of well, yeah, maybe if you're really angry, you might. There's a lot of Sprecstemma in Woyzeck, the opera. Like the first scene with the captain in Woyzeck where he's shaving the captain. They make the captain this like high tenor voice. And he speaks in like this very weird part of the voice. It's very unnatural. Like that's not how humans speak.
Right.
But it's so, I think, effective.
Yeah.
Because it makes the captain this like, I think it calls into questions issues of like the captain's masculinity and the captain's like authority, because he's speaking in this very like high weird voice.
Yeah.
It's very unsettling.
That's interesting.
It's bizarre. We got on the opera. Let's talk about the play.
No,
I mean, unless you like,
that.
I have a whole page of notes on the opera, but yes.
No, that's awesome. That's why we brought you on, because we want to hear about this kind of stuff. I was just, anybody ever read Crime and Punishment? You guys?
Oh, yeah. Not the whole thing, but I've definitely read excerpts from it, yeah.
I got major Crime and Punishment vibes from reading Woyzeck again. That's Russian. It's Fyodor Dostoevsky.
Yes.
And it's all about this guy who murders someone, but then it's about the afterward.
Interesting.
So this is about like, it's like almost like, I saw it like as a prequel of Crime and Punishment. And Crime and Punishment is written in the 1860s. So I'm like, I wonder if, well, no, of course, it wasn't rediscovered until later. So it's just crazy, like, these different authors in the 19th century are having all these kind of similar ideas, whether you're in Germany or you're in Russia. They're all trying to look at the psychological nature of people and like what crime, like why someone is driven to murder someone. And it's just interesting to see like the comparisons between those two pieces for sure. So.
I love everything from like the early 19th to mid 19th century and beyond, but especially that time, because in all forms of art, in visual art, in theater, in opera, in music, like there is this movement to this idea that middle and lower class people can be protagonists.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that makes, we talk in music history all the time, like Marriage of Figaro by Mozart is late 1700s, and he makes the protagonist the butler of the house, like the head servant, which is like radical revolutionary at the time, because like up to that point, like opera and a lot of theater, like the protagonists were people of nobility.
Right.
They were gods and goddesses.
Right.
Like we wrote like operas and music and plays and everything about like people that we wanted to be. We wrote about gods and goddesses. We wrote about like ancient figures.
Hamlet is a prince.
Yes, we wrote about like mythical figures. And then we get into this movement of like the protagonist of my piece of work, of my painting, of my poem, of my play can be a middle class person. Yeah. Because the middle class is beginning to exist, but also because like we're discovering that these new levels of complexity, I think, in humans. And Woyzeck is such a good example of that. He's not even middle class. I mean, he's substantially lower class. He's bottom of the totem pole.
He's like living paycheck to paycheck or worse.
Yeah.
So that kind of brings me to another question: is like, let's say we don't ever get Woyzeck, we never rediscover it. What then do we? Do we miss from our culture, right? Because if we never found it, right? You ever hear that expression like, well, you never get friends if you don't have cheers, you know what I mean? So like what what
God. You never get Frasier if you don't have Cheers.
Well, true.
Because that's a direct connection.
Literal.
I've been watching a lot of Frasier recently.
As you should. Yeah. As you should. What a great show. But I'm just like I don't know. Is there something that what do we owe to the existence and the rediscovery of Woyzeck?
Well, I think we owe a lot.
Yeah, I mean, no, we definitely do.
I mean, the whole, like we were talking about, like the shorter scenes, like even
yes,
it's like very different than like past like plays before that.
Oh my gosh, you look at importance of being earnest. The scenes go on forever.
Right, and I'm trying to think the well-made play. Do you remember learning about that?
Oh gosh, yeah. So
gosh,
the well-made play. The late
he became George Buchner Shaw.
The late point of attack. The every dominoes fall, right? So like every action leads to another action, which leads to another action, which is entirely not the case in Woyzeck. It's actually kind of confusing to read.
Right.
You're like, they're at a carnival and like they're enticed into a tent, and then it's the next scene, and you're like, what happened with the carnival?
Exactly. So I feel like that was kind of popular around this time too. So I'm wondering, we needed like that break because like the well-made play is almost like too perfect. It's like watching a Hallmark movie. You know exactly what's gonna happen.
Right.
Everything falls into place.
Exactly. There's
which is
happily ended.
Which is satisfying in a certain way,
right.
but also it becomes predictable.
Right. So I feel like we just needed in the theater world to just like break from that and, you know, have these episodic things, like structure these plays. What I think is so cool about it is like, you know, I think that he like has schizophrenia, like he's going insane, and like we see this play like from his point of view, so they're like loosely connected because that's like all his like thoughts and like feelings. Like I feel like we're seeing it from the point of view of Woyzeck,
so it almost
he's going through.
Yeah, it almost puts you in the shoes of a person with schizophrenia.
Sure.
Which is terrifying.
Well, I think that Buchner seems almost very intentional about making us sympathize with Woyzeck.
Right.
Yes.
Which I don't think in a lot of plays from the 1830s and 40s we are sympathizing with a poor psycho.
Right.
Not using that term, you know,
lightly,
pejoratively, but like literally a psycho person.
Yeah. No, it's true. I mean, like, and so you're totally on his side. It's like he's the protagonist, and before that, he would have just been like the evil guy they cast off. And
then we get to the end, and we're like, did I just sympathize with the man who repeatedly stabbed his wife?
Right. And even though the whole time we're like, Marie sucks.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I don't know.
You know what it made me think of? This is a little bit of a tangent. It made me think of the Stephen Sondheim musical, Company. Yes. Which was like the first musical to be really not plot-based. It's just a bunch of episodes in Robert's life. And it's also very, like, middle class.
Right.
And Sondheim talks about, like, we had gone to the theater for so many years to see, like, middle and upper class people had gone to the theater to see lives that were not like their own. They had gone to see South Pacific, you know, these, like, musicals about, like, larger-than-life characters. And he's like, so then I was like, let's turn the mirror on them. I being Sondheim, sorry. Sondheim's like, let's turn the mirror and like let's write a musical about like very mundane middle class comings and goings.
Yeah.
And let's not structure it with a plot. Let's just have it be like episodes where Robert, the main character, like interacts with all these couples. And that the whole time I was reading this, I was like, this is like Company. I mean, I connect everything to Stephen Sondheim, but this it's very similar. It's like, let's again like remove the audience's comfort zones.
Right. They can't like bring themselves like away. Like they're part of it.
Right.
Part of the action. They have to decide, oh, am I on his side? Oh, am I not? You know,
We're not watching like people of a noble class like debate like who should host the tea party tomorrow.
Sure, the popular play Tea Party.
Yes. Next week, tune in. Tea Party.
Tea Party by Patrick
But instead
Graham.
we're watching like a poor person like struggle to make a living so he can pay his wife, help keep his common law wife and son happy.
Right.
And I think that, like, there are a lot more people like that in the world than there are characters from, no offense to Shaw, but, you know, his plays.
Yeah.
Right.
Sorry, George.
And if you
George.
And if you look at, and we've kind of touched on this, but if you look at the other plays that were being written around the time, they are nothing like Woyzeck, right?
Yeah.
They are the melodramas from France. They are where, like, it's just, they're trying to do, like, incredibly like historically accurate sets and costumes. Everything's very elaborate. There's romanticism in Germany, where they're trying to incorporate all sorts of like I don't know like big drama like I don't know, you're gonna get like what is it, like Three Musketeers out of the romanticism, you know, stuff like that, right?
Wonderful.
Like you mentioned the well-made play. where Eugene Scribe was, I don't know, writing all of these different dramas about the nobility and all that kind of stuff. So it's just such a departure from everything that was being written at the time. You've got to wonder, like, man, what else could he have written if he had lived longer, you know?
Even like romanticism that is based more in realism and like symbolist type romanticism. I'm thinking like Victor Hugo and like Charles Dickens.
Yeah.
Which are very much like showing lots of points of views and very middle class. They're still very grand in scale.
Yes.
Like every Charles Dickens novel is like 9 million pages, and like every Victor Hugo novel like spends half the book like describing the architecture of Paris.
Yes.
It's like all very grand. And so this is interesting because it's so not grand and it's so scaled down. And it, again, like to bring it back, like when I realized he's part of this movement that includes so many of these poets that I'm familiar with, they're all into this idea, and then the composers who are associated with them, they're all very obsessed with like art in miniature. Like so many of the poets and composers who are from this same movement like are writing very short poems or writing very short songs where they're saying so much in like 30 lines. And it's so interesting because he's the same way. It's like it's such like a contrast to Victor Hugo and to Charles Dickens, who are like, let's write this grand novel.
Oh my gosh.
And so it's very I think that it's so powerful when people can do things in such a short amount of time. One of my favorite composers, so I keep bringing up, Robert Schumann, like all of his songs and piano pieces are these short, they're called like character pieces, and they're like 2 pages maybe, but he packs so much into that 2 pages. He doesn't need to write like a 90-minute symphony. He writes like this short piano piece that's like maybe 45 seconds, but so much happens in it. And I think that Woyzeck is the same way. Like it's these short scenes, but like so much is happening in them, and like we can pack so much. It's really interesting.
That is, that's cool. That was like a whole. That's like one of my favorite things to find out is when like someone I love like in one art form like is friends with someone else. I like freak out.
Love that. Absolutely love that.
It blows my mind.
Yeah.
But what I feel like he does so well is actually like capture the plight of like the poor, which was like one of his major goals like in this piece. Like one of my favorite lines in it was like everything under the sun is work, sweat, even in our sleep, us poor people. And I was like, oh my gosh.
Isn't he talking about his son? He's like looking at the sweat on his son.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like
well, his son's like sleeping.
Yeah. And it's just like it's so hot, like, you know, they can't be like cool where they are, can't provide like that. And I don't know, like that just
sounds
simple thing of sleeping.
Yeah, that sounds to me like one of the lines that he lifted right from the court transcript, but maybe not. I don't know.
Interesting.
I do feel like I'm on that point, like a major thesis of the play is that Woyzeck's condition, his mental condition, is a direct result of his poverty. Because why is he going to the doctor and why is he on this weird, stupid diet that's probably messing with his psyche?
Right.
Because he's poor and because he needs money from the doctor.
It's like giving blood.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Like you can make so much money donating plasma, but that's kind of like demented that in this country, like people have to go like give their bodily fluids for money.
To get money.
But it is like, and he says this to the captain when the captain's like berating him for not having virtues. He's like, I can't afford to have virtues. I have to do what I need to do to survive. And it's the same way in, you know, the United States of America in 2020 and many countries. Like people, we like berate poor people. We, not the three of us, but like culture.
Yeah.
Berate like poor and working class people for doing X, Y, and Z. But like at the end of the day, like when you're in survival mode, you're going to do anything.
Right.
Jean Valjean, you're going to steal a freaking loaf of bread. You know? Am I right?
Yeah. And that brings up the wider point is like, is Woyzeck that crazy? I don't feel like he is. I know he murders someone, which is crazy.
He's definitely like seeing things and hearing things.
He's definitely seeing things and hearing things, which is schizophrenia. But, you know, he is jealous of the drum major because, I mean, like it's basically confirmed that Marie is like sleeping with him. So like I don't know. He's not that crazy to me.
I read something that was talking about how he's on this peas-only diet.
Right.
And this analysis was saying, would that affect his sex drive? Absolutely it would. Has he have he and Marie had sex recently? Probably not. So she's probably looking for companionship somewhere else. It's all, I think, goes back to this, like, yes, he's like mentally unstable, but it's all such a result of his situation in life. Right. The things that he has to do. I guarantee, like, he's not in the military because he loves going to war. He's in the military, like many people in the 21st century, because it's a steady job and it's work and it's housing and it's food. Yeah. And he doesn't even, it seems for me, he doesn't even live with Marie and his son. He lives in the barracks and he like, goes once a week back to the town to like give money. Yeah. So again, like, I think like it's all goes back to he's doing what he needs to do to get money to survive.
You kind of admire him because, like, you know, he could just like sit on his haunches and not support his son and his and Marie, but he does. He sacrifices himself a lot, which is admirable. It's just, it drives him insane.
Right. And again, I think there's this myth even nowadays of the undeserving poor or the unworking poor, where it's this idea that like, oh, poor people just sit around on their butts and they're lazy all day. But like, no one in this country or no one in this world, I'm going to get on a soapbox, works harder than poor people. Yeah. Because they have to like work for every dollar. Right. And this idea that they're just like sitting around, like these welfare queens are sitting around like cashing their food stamps. Like, poor people are working more hours and working harder than anyone else. Yeah. And I think that was true in 1830s Germany as well, and why so many of these young authors and poets and were radicalized, because they're seeing that like these poor people are working harder than anyone and they're still at the bottom of the totem pole. Yeah. And I think Woyzeck's the same way. Like, he's definitely a hard worker. He's doing everything. He's shaving his captain, which is probably very demeaning.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah, that's the work of a barber, which is not a demeaning job, but it's not his job.
Right.
He's a soldier.
He's out in the woods like picking up sticks. Yeah. Probably for the captain's like fireplace. Yeah.
Sure.
I know. Yeah, you see like him losing like I don't know, his sensibility and going more into like his animalistic.
Yes.
Us as humans, like what we have.
Very animalistic. Yeah. Yeah.
But I feel like that's like his journey in it, as he's kind of like losing it.
There's that interesting scene where they're at the like show tent and they see the animals. They see the guy that's like showing off the monkey and the horse.
Oh yeah.
And there's these like very direct comparisons between this monkey and Woyzeck. Yeah. The guy who's showing the monkey off is like, he's as good as a soldier. He could do anything that soldiers could do. He's just a trained monkey. Right. While Woyzeck is standing right there. Yeah. And so it is very like very animalistic. Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, is that all I am?
Right.
Right.
I don't know. Another line that kind of stood out to me, which I just kind of want to like ask you guys. Sure. I don't know. The captain says to Woyzeck, but you think too much. That's unhealthy. You always look so upset. And I wanted to ask you guys, do you get sad when you think too much?
Well, ignorance is bliss, is it not?
Yeah. Sometimes I have to like turn my brain off and I'm like, oh, we need to stop going down that rabbit hole.
The reason I get sad is because I think too much. Like, talk to my therapist about that one. Like, it is like you think so on crazy. Issues and then you like spiral. You let yourself spiral, or you inevitably spiral.
Yeah.
And so the captain is the stupid one.
Yeah,
you know, the one who doesn't
who's like rich and like all this stuff, who doesn't have to think because everything in life is provided.
He doesn't need to stress because he doesn't. Yeah, he doesn't have that issue.
Or worry about it.
The captain, though, is an interesting character because I almost think of him like, if the doctor is upper class, the captain is kind of middle class.
Sure.
He's not there, but he's almost there. Right. Because he does have some of those anxieties. There are scenes where the captain is like not totally with it, but he loves the fact that he's higher than Woyzeck.
And he uses that.
Which is very classic. Hardcore, like, people everyone thinks they're middle class, and they love to like, what, on the lower class.
Right.
And yeah, so like when the captain's with Woyzeck, he feels very grandiose and powerful. But when he's with the captain, or when he's with the doctor, he feels very. His character doesn't feel the same.
Right. Yeah.
No.
That reminds me of like the poor white people in like the Jim Crow South.
Yeah.
Almost. Yeah.
Who think that they're better than
the poor black people, but really they're probably on the same level.
Right.
Yeah.
I read an interesting article once about how everyone in the United States in the 21st century thinks that they're middle class. Like, no one classifies themselves as lower class. Like, we all believe that we're middle class or better, even when we're not. Like, even when like people are very poor and very much like lower class.
Yeah.
And they use this mentality to like in many cases, vote against their own self-interest because they don't want to vote for candidates who are doing things that are going to support like low-income people because they don't consider themselves that. Like, I'm middle class. I worked my way up into the middle class. Why would I want to vote for someone who supports a strong social safety net, food stamps and whatnot?
Right.
Because I'm middle class. I don't need that. But really, like, they are the ones who need that. And I think that that's, again, like, I feel like this play has so many connections to where we are right now.
Right.
That, like, people are not inherently evil or bad. They're often driven to extreme measures because of their situation in life, because of their economic situation or because of their social situation. And then the people who are a step above them love to like lord that over them and to look down on them.
Yeah.
It's very 21st century America.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Very human.
Very so human. Any final thoughts on Woyzeck?
Yeah, I want to go back to the opera for a second. There's one thing I didn't talk about that I love.
Great.
Berg, who is eschewing tonality and saying we don't need an organized, well, we do, but we don't need to come back to a center pitch. We need to structure music based on expression and based on emotion and whatnot. He does this really interesting thing in Woyzeck, the opera, in that he makes the structure of the opera super old school. Okay. He divides it into 3 acts. 5 scenes in each.
We love 3 acts.
I know. We love it. But no intermissions. So it's always presented as just one 90-minute thing.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, we love that as well. We don't need an intermission.
We never need, no.
I love an intermission.
Oh, it breaks up the whole thing.
But he does this thing where he... I agree with Will.
Shocker.
I mean, like, I like intermissions because you can sell concessions, but that's capitalist.
Yeah, that is so capitalist. He does this thing where each act is like highly structured in his musical form. The first act, the first 5 scenes, are 5 character pieces. Each character piece based on Woyzeck's or Marie's interactions with a different character. So Woyzeck and the Captain is a suite, a traditional dance suite. Woyzeck and Andres is a rhapsody. Woyzeck and Marie is a military march. Woyzeck and the Doctor is a Passacaglia, which is really interesting because the Passacaglia is built on a ground bass, and so it's this very like sense of like bass versus tenor. Very interesting. Then he like the second act is all a symphony. It's 5 movements of a symphony, and the way that the movements connect to the characters in the scenes is just, it's freaking brilliant. Okay, and the third act is 6 inventions. Marie and her child, an invention on a theme. Marie and Woyzeck, an invention on a single note. At the Tavern, invention on a rhythm. The Death of Woyzeck is an invention on a hexachord, and then there's this stunningly gorgeous interlude after Woyzeck dies. Everyone go listen to it. That's an invention in a single key, so it's the most tonal part of the whole work because it's an invention on the key of D minor. And then we have the children playing, where Woyzeck's child discovers that his mother is dead, and it's an invention on a quaver movement, so like an invention on a rhythmic movement. But the way that Berg does this is so intentional and so brilliant and so structured, but he does it in a way that he doesn't want the audience to know that there is structure. He intentionally said, like Berg talks about in his writings, I don't want the audience to hear what's going on, but I want it to be there because I want there to be structure to the piece. And I kind of love that.
Yeah.
Because I kind of feel like in my creative endeavors, in my artistic endeavors, I feel the same way. I want to be well researched, and I want to be well prepared, and I want to be like structured and intentional about the things that I do, but I don't want the audience to feel that.
Right.
I want them to just experience what I'm presenting to them.
Right.
But there has to be like in my mind that structure, you know?
Yeah, you don't want to like spell it out for them.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't want to spoon feed the audience.
Right.
I want them to take whatever they want from it.
That's really cool though about his like death, because it's almost like a sense of like peace.
Yeah.
That he finally like achieves.
Yeah.
And then it's like upset again when the cycle like begins again.
Right.
With the kid. That's interesting.
And the other interesting thing about the opera is the scenes with the characters are very objective and cold. They're very non-tonal. Mm-hmm. They involve a lot of Sprecstemma. They're very text-driven. But every scene is succeeded by a musical interlude, an orchestral interlude. And the interludes are very romantic. And they're very... It's almost like commentary on the scene that Berg is presenting you and giving you a chance to like sit back, hear this music, and like think about the scene that you just saw before the next scene happens. I kind of love it.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That's
Everyone
dope.
should go listen. If you've never listened to an opera before, this is a weird one to start with.
It is
I will
German.
say it's a lot. A lot is happening.
Is this up there with like one of your favorite operas?
Oh yeah, definitely top 5.
Okay, great.
Definitely maybe top 3. I think it's just
What's your top 3?
Pelléas and Melisande by Claude Debussy, based on the Symbolist play by Maeterlinck. Another one where it's so weird and ambiguous.
Yeah.
It's Debussy's only opera. Claude Debussy, who's considered by many people to be one of the greatest composers of all time, only wrote one opera because he was obsessed with like making it perfect. Classic. But he writes this opera, Pelléas and Melisande, and it's so gorgeous, but it's so much. It's like 4 hours and nothing happens.
Oh, wow.
It's just characters like talking to each other about. It's very symbolist. There's no. It's all descriptive and suggestive rather than like in your face.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. I love this one. I love Woyzeck by Berg. Oh, what's the third one? There's so many. I whispered I love opera. Sorry. I realized the audience couldn't hear that.
Pirates of Penzance?
No. I do love Pirates of Penzance. Love Pirates of Penzance. I think that the third one has to be Il Trovatore by Verdi.
Great.
Definitely very classic opera. Very, like, not old school, but very, like, traditional. But just stunningly gorgeous music. And requires 4 of the best singers that the world has to offer. Like if you're gonna do it, if you're gonna do a production of Trovatore, you have to have a soprano, a mezzo, a baritone, and a tenor that are like top of their game. And it's so good. Anyways, everyone, check my podcast out about opera. It doesn't exist yet, but coming to a podcast channel near you.
Freaking make it, man.
Maybe.
I guess that's why we don't have like community theater opera. Community
Yeah,
opera.
it's really hard.
Yeah, it's really difficult.
There are
music.
like under 20 operas I say that could be performed by an amateur. Like maybe 10 to 15.
Dang.
And like myself as a 2-degree singer, right now there's maybe 10 to 15 operas that I could sing.
Wow. Do people still write operas?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Oh, that's a whole nother conversation.
Okay, maybe we could say that.
Contemporary opera, especially American opera. American opera is hot right now.
Okay.
Like contemporary American composers are writing some fantastic operas right now.
Wow.
Fantastic.
Are they writing them in English?
Yep, in English.
Awesome.
English language opera is a big thing. Benjamin Britten, our boy.
Our boy.
But for many years, English language opera was looked down upon.
Yeah.
Opera was written in Italian and French and German.
Yeah.
Right.
And then Benjamin Britten kind of revived it in the 20th century. And since then,
It's taken
the
off.
best contemporary operas, the best operas written in the 21st century and the late 20th century are all in English.
Wow.
They're all British or American composers.
Interesting.
Cool.
Yeah.
I didn't
This
know
is a
that.
whole new world.
It's a whole new world.
Right.
Listeners, go listen to Berg's
Culture yourself.
Webern. I said 2 words that weren't connected. Woyzeck by Berg. But also check out some other operas. It's not as inaccessible as you think. Trust me. That's all
I love
have to
that.
say.
Yeah, because we
That's
are
beautiful.
intimidated by opera.
Everyone is.
Yeah,
But it's just another form of theater.
Exactly.
Another form of music.
Another form of
It's
art.
usually a little longer,
sure.
but only because it takes longer to say something when you sing it. We cannot get as much information out in singing.
Yeah.
It takes 30 minutes to sing something that might take 10 minutes to say. You know what I
Sure.
mean? So opera has to be longer.
And you like hear it in their voices, like what they're going through. I think that's the coolest experience of it all.
Absolutely. It's
Yeah.
so emotional.
Yeah.
And you can take a phrase or an idea and you can expand it in such a way that you cannot in spoken theater. They can sing something and sing it 20 times. They can sing the same line 20 times. And in old opera, they often do. But the way that they reinvent that same phrase,
Yeah.
it's just, yeah.
We listened to you sing opera.
Oh,
Yeah.
you did?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we saw part of it. I think it was part of your, what is it, part of your grad school performance? I don't
We
know.
did.
It was
Lori
awesome.
Graham
It was so
posted it on
great.
Oh,
FB.
yes. It was a competition I sang in.
Oh, it was awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I played
You're very
it in our
talented.
car, and Will was like, "Who's that?" And then I was like, "It's Patrick." And he's like, "Oh my god."
Thank you.
You're like
Yeah.
really good.
Thanks. Thank you.
You're welcome.
He takes compliments really.
I'm in a bit,
I mean,
of,
that
I'm in a bit of a
compliment-
quarter life crisis about what I want to do with my life.
Sure.
So when people tell me I'm a good singer, I'm kind of like, Am I? Should I?
You want to do some now? I don't want to put you on the spot.
No, actually, my voice is very tired right now.
Okay, yeah.
This is more than I've talked continuously in weeks.
For sure.
Yeah, no, my voice is tired right now. I can feel it starting to quaver.
We don't blame you.
Okay, wait, let's get a clean edit there then. I don't know if we want to take that out. We don't have to.
Why would we take it out?
I don't know, because I put Patrick on the spot and I was like, do you want to sing? And he was like,
you can go to YouTube. I have 2 recordings on YouTube.
Great.
I'm very intentional about not posting videos of me singing, but there are 2 that are on YouTube. 2 that I'm actually proud of.
Oh,
nice.
Which means they're perfect because it's a tight day.
So true.
I love it.
All right.
Are we ready to cast the freaking play?
Let's freaking cast the freaking play.
All right. Okay. What character should we start with?
I think we should start with the doctor or the general. Probably the doctor.
Okay, sweet.
Let's do the doctor. Okay, who we got for the doctor? Now,
Will wants to start.
I guess I'll start. I usually start. I don't know. I started last time. I went for mine's a dark comedy. Okay,
right.
That's my vibe. Dark comedy.
Yeah.
You still get the like, man, this guy's messed up or whatever. Woyzeck is messed up, but there's some really funny moments.
There's some humor in this.
100% there is.
Have some brandy with an Advil. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they say that a lot.
100%.
Have some brandy and then take a painkiller with it.
Yeah,
that's what they keep saying. So my doctor is Billy Crystal. I think he'd be super funny.
All right.
Interesting.
Yeah, and he'd be like, "Why don't you eat some peas, kid?"
And
then, Why don't you come upstairs and see me sometime?
Yeah.
That's Mae West.
Yeah. I don't know. I can't do a Billy Crystal voice, but Billy Crystal.
Nor should you try.
No, no. He's the one and only. One and only.
I chose Sasha Baron Cohen.
Oh,
get out of here! Yeah,
a great actor.
Yes,
underappreciated.
Fantastic actor. Please watch The Trial of Chicago 7. It is. I feel like not a lot of people know about it, and they should watch it.
I need to watch it. You watched it. You watched it without me, so.
Sorry.
Yeah. All right, Patrick, who you got for doctor?
For my whole casting, it's very realist, but it's also like there's intentionality behind the decisions.
Okay.
The doctor is an interesting one to start with. So in 1978, the German filmmaker / actor Werner Herzog made a Woyzeck film.
Yes.
Shot it in, I think about 2 weeks.
Okay.
Wow.
Had just finished another film, kept the crew from the film he had just finished, and made them stay for 2 more weeks to shoot another film.
Okay, cruel.
Yeah, right. Where were the unions? Shot it in 2 weeks, and they said he edited it in 14 hours.
Dang.
So this was back in the day where we made films wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. Yeah, we were, That being said, I love Werner Herzog. I think everything he does is brilliant. And so he's my doctor. And I've been watching The Mandalorian recently.
Yes.
And he has a little bit he's a part in The Mandalorian.
Get the heck out of here.
He's the client. Have you watched The Mandalorian?
Yeah.
Yeah. Werner Herzog is the one that he delivers Baby Yoda to.
Oh,
the old guy.
Wow. Yeah.
But he's this he's a Renaissance man.
Yeah.
But he's so sinister.
Yeah, he
is. I think the doctor is a lot. He's extra, but he's also very sinister.
He is.
And he also does not care about human life.
No, not at all.
And I just want to see Werner Herzog with his sly kind of grin. I want to see him do it. Yeah,
I love that. I want to go with that.
Yeah, thanks.
Wow. Yeah, you win.
All right.
No, it's not a competition.
Oh, it is.
No, it is. It is because we have to choose.
Loyal listeners. Okay.
Yeah, right. For sure.
How many other roles? Well, you can come back.
All right. And then to the general then.
You mean the captain?
Captain, sure.
He got a promotion.
He got a promotion in my little casting notes. The captain. I put Eddie Murphy. Keeping along with the dark comedy. More of the comedy.
Shrek. Okay, we're gonna
Shrek. I'm a donkey, Shrek.
All right. Well, maybe whatever. What do you got, Sarah?
So I chose Luke Evans.
Oh.
Fascinating.
Give us.
We'll get into that later. Wow. Why Luke Evans?
I don't know.
He's Gaston. in the most recent Beauty and the Beast. He's a villain in Fast and Furious. One of the Fast and Furious. I forget which one it is.
He has that, like, very, like, gravitas energy, but he also has this, like, falsehood about him, too. Yeah. Which I feel like the captain possesses.
He's, what's the stock character that he is? That Gaston is. He's it's a stock character. All right. Well, anyway, go ahead, Patrick.
This one I struggled with. I have some interesting backup choices in case my top choice is unavailable. But I stuck with this German actor theme. Someone who I think plays a great villain, but is also very complex. Many great performances by him, but one of my favorites, I think underappreciated, is when he was in the James Bond movie, Spectre. Maybe Spectre. I don't remember. Christoph Waltz.
Oh, love Christoph.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Dang. That's a good one.
But I had some interesting backups. The one I almost went with, shout out to my Succession fans out there, I almost went with Brian Cox.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Because he's kind of like old and kind of grisly.
I feel like he has too much power.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, I wanted the captain to kind of be, no offense to Brian Cox, a little fat. Like almost like he's like, all he does is sit in the barracks and like eat all day. But he also needs to have a weakness to him, and Brian Cox does not have a weakness to him.
No, he's perfect.
Yeah, truly.
I love Succession.
Win season 3.
That's what I have to say.
The braggart soldier is the one.
Oh,
the stock character I was trying.
Love a good stock character.
Yeah.
Will, who should win because Eddie Murphy's out?
Eddie Murphy's out, sure. I'm selfishly gonna. I gotta go with Patrick because I'm actually casting Luke Evans as someone else. I can't pick your Luke Evans because
I know who he wants to cast Luke Evans as.
I'm casting Luke Evans as the drum major.
Yeah.
Which is fascinating.
Yes, I get that.
Yeah.
I get that.
I mean, I get it.
Are you two like in the Luke Evans hive?
Not at all. Not at all.
Like,
did you just watch Beauty and the Beast?
No. Okay. I'm crazy. Yeah, that's crazy. I think it's crazy that I don't know.
No,
anyway,
fine.
I don't even remember who you picked.
Christoph Waltz.
Yeah, I love Christoph Waltz. I'll cast him as freaking anything, man.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah.
He's a chameleon.
Oh, yeah.
In the best way.
Patrick.
2 for 2. Wow. Okay, so we know who my drum major is. My drum major is Luke Evans. Who do you got as the handsome, handsome, sexy man?
I chose Stephen James.
Who is that?
My one true love. He's on this, he's in Homecoming with...
Yeah, you've told me about him, yeah.
Yeah, I'm like fully in
Homecoming is still on my list
if Beale Street could talk.
Yeah, if Beale Street could talk.
Oh, yeah, he's good. Interesting. He's kind of suave.
I kind of thought the drum major was suave just because you don't hear much from him.
I think he is suave, but interesting. But he also is kind of a dick.
No, sure. I think he could be a dick.
Like, Luke Evans is dick.
Stephen James, if you're listening, Sarah doesn't mean it.
You could act like a dick.
No, but if Beale Street could talk, he's like kind of a dick in it.
Is he the main guy?
Yeah. Like when he's like, oh really?
I've seen it. I love it, but I got to rewatch it. I saw it in the theaters and I haven't seen it since.
Same. I watched that film.
Regina King. God love her. Okay,
who did you choose?
Real quick sidebar. My one complaint about casting this, only one female character.
I know.
I love female actors. I'm fan of so many of them, and there's only one.
I know.
Okay, anyways.
Don't get me started.
Stephen James. Interesting.
That's mine. Who's yours?
Tom Hardy.
Ooh. Disagree, but okay.
I'll just see myself out.
I'm not a huge fan of Tom Hardy, honestly.
I think he has this bravura nature about him.
Yeah.
A little larger than life. A little He-Man. But also kind of has a...
He's an aggressive sexiness. He's like, look at me, I'm sexy.
But I think that's what the drum major is.
No,
the drum major is not...
But he's not sexy. I said it.
Okay, well, you can see yourself out. Disagree.
What play did you read?
But I'm saying Tom Hardy's not sexy.
Oh, I was saying that. Okay, you said the drum major is not
I think
sexy.
the drum major though is an interesting character because he is in the military, but he's not militaristic at all. He's not doing the fighting. Literally, all he's doing is like prepping. Like he's like pumping up the villagers. Like we love war. Like that's all. That's like, that's his whole point.
Yeah.
So there's no tacticalness to it. It's all facade.
That's why I'm like Luke Evans. He's total pretty boy.
Yeah,
I do
like that. I do like that.
I'm against you because you were against.
Can I tell you some of my other picks?
Then Patrick Graham has to break the tie.
We have to call
Okay,
him
you
by
got.
his full name.
Yeah, I don't know.
One of my other picks that I almost went with, Mahershala Ali.
Oh yeah. Sure.
Ooh.
Mahershala is so suave.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
But he's not a dick.
No, he's not in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
I would do anything for that man.
Truly. My third choice, which I actually had in so many roles because I just think he's one of the greatest actors of all time, Javier Bardem.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wait,
But he's
nice.
not necessarily suave.
No.
But he is
intimidating in like a really like he's like kind of
Yeah.
I
gross
know.
and like
Why did I go with so many villains from the
Freaking
Daniel
Pirates of
Craig
the-
James Bond movies?
yeah, that's true.
Christoph Waltz, Javier Bardem.
Rami Malek's next.
Yeah,
all right.
next, truly. Anyways, I went Tom Hardy, but I'll concede. I've won two so far.
You have to pick because I'm biased because I love Luke Evans in this role. We're too biased. You pick.
I think it's Luke Evans.
Are you kidding me?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
I don't even remember who you
ridiculous.
picked.
Stephen James.
Nah.
Absolutely. Okay.
All right, moving on.
Okay.
Who's
Andres.
next? Andres.
Before we do the
Yeah, we hardly
the big
talked about
two.
Andres, but he's kind of the best friend or whatever. Who's
It's
also
kind of funny.
he kind of
Remember
thinks
that as we cast it.
But I also think he is aware of what's happening with Woyzeck,
definitely.
but doesn't care.
Yeah,
I think he's very like, I got to do what I got to do to like make an honest day's work, and you're about to kill your partner, whatever.
Yeah.
But he also doesn't have much of a character.
No.
It's
no,
very
not
strange.
much.
Yeah, it's weird. He kind of just always brushes them off.
Right. Very dismissive.
Aloof.
Very aloof.
Very dismissive.
All right.
Will, who did you choose?
I got Kumail Nanjiani.
Oh.
Yes, from The Big Sick, from lots of other stuff recently.
The Big Sick and other things that I saw.
What else? Doesn't matter.
Yeah. No, he was in that bad movie I watched.
Oh, the one
Uber.
with
The
Yes.
Uber driver.
Ray?
Yes.
That was good.
What'd you
What
watch?
was it called?
What's it called?
Oh no.
With Addison Rae?
With Issa Rae.
Oh.
Issa Rae.
Issa? I'm pretty sure
Well,
it's Issa.
I think I don't really like all movies like that, but I always watch them. Why?
don't know.
It was called.
Lovebirds.
Yes.
Yes,
I
Okay.
accidentally
Watch it.
watched that with my mom and sister. Like, I just came downstairs one night and they were watching it, and I got hooked. And my mom and sister love Insecure, her show on HBO.
Yes, I love Issa Rae.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I love Kumail. But
Together, or the script or whatever.
yeah, I don't know.
I didn't watch
It's just
it.
like that cheesy type of comedy that's
Yeah.
like.
But it's kind of escapist.
oh,
I kind of loved
for
it.
sure. I mean,
Yeah.
like it's good for a one night thing.
A
Would I watch it again?
little one night stand. Okay. So yeah, Kumail. Who you got, Sarah?
Okay, so this is gonna sound crazy. But I
Great.
need us all to go on this journey with me.
Let's go.
I'm on it.
So I chose Alfonso Ribeiro.
Who is that?
He's just a little guy from
He's a little guy?
just Carlton from Fresh Prince of Bel Air, but as Carlton.
As okay.
Alfonso as
Carlton. Oh,
So
that's
we're really going with like the comedic sidekick here, is what I'm getting from you two.
Wow.
That is why I kind of, he just, the comedic sidekick. He's just like, yeah, it's gonna be fine.
And
then
they're
he
like
gets out
collecting.
of there.
They're like collecting
We're
the
like-
Not
sticks.
unusual to be loved by you.
It was just like an idea, and I
That's-
just couldn't get it out of my head, and it was funny.
I don't hate that.
Yeah.
And they're like collecting sticks. He's like, I'm Carlton. I'm collecting sticks.
Yeah, but it really, the guy I chose for Woyzeck, you're like, whoa, what?
Okay.
What's his name?
Alfonso.
No.
Ribeiro.
What's the main character's name?
You're being me.
She started. Faithful listeners, she started at a CH.
Okay.
We
to be
pronounced
fair,
it.
Voy-
at
Check.
Benedictine,
We pronounced it Woyzeck for so long.
Woyzeck at Benedictine is like how we learned it.
Yeah.
I'm
So we
I'm gonna
I'm
we're
gonna
Sir
speak
Thomas
to the
wrong. Yeah.
head of the drama department at
Yeah.
Benedict.
Woyzeck.
more reasonable.
Anyway, Patrick, who you got?
Oscar Isaac.
Ooh. I mean, like, I love Oscar Isaac, but I disagree. Why? Why did you pick that?
I literally had so much trouble casting this role, and
Sure.
he was on my list of about 10 actors for Woyzeck, and it was one of those like classic director things where it was a drop down. It was like, well, we're not going to give him Woyzeck, but let's give him a secondary role because we think he's talented.
We want to work with him.
Attention, any CYT students that are listening, we never do that with you. We always are intentional with our casting, but you know what I'm talking about. Where you've got like 4 actors for the lead role, and you cast one, and then you take the others, and you're like, all right, let's drop them down.
I one time turned a play into 4 characters because I was in love with like 2 boys at the callback, and I was
Were either of them Will Wright?
No.
Okay.
No,
I was like, we have to split
We're already married.
this guy role because it said like an older and younger. So I was like, I can't not cast both of them. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
So
It's a very Jenna Milborn move.
Yes.
Jenna, we're happy you're listening to this podcast. I'm
We love
assuming
it.
everyone's listening to this podcast.
Yeah, you got it.
But like
It's on
she
the
loves to
internet.
like split rolls up so she can like give it to 2 people.
Yeah.
Right.
And I get it, kind of.
Well,
Anyway,
mine was like more artistic. It
Yeah.
actually was beautiful.
Yeah. Hers like really worked. We talked about it in a previous podcast on
That I'm
gruesome
sure you listened to.
gruesome playground injuries. We had the guest Claire
I'm
Tassinari.
a regular listener.
For sure.
Anyways,
for sure.
Oscar Isaac, I think he's an amazing actor.
He is.
He is.
He also is, I think, a good, like, maybe it's my Star Wars bias, but he's kind of a good, like, number 2
Yeah.
to John Boyega's, like, even
Sure.
though they kind of, like,
They kind of messed it up,
Don't
but
they
it doesn't
kind
matter.
of fuck them both in that movie.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, listeners, I said the F word. I was really trying the whole show to not
We're
say
gonna
it.
have to put an explicit by this week.
Oh, God! Oh, the humanity! Anyways, I think Oscar Isaac's a great actor. I love him. I almost cast him as Woyzeck. I think Inside Llewellyn Davis is one of the best Coen Brothers movies of all time.
I want to see that so bad. I don't know why I have it's called what
Inside Llewellyn Davis. I think I said Llewellyn, but it's Llewellyn.
Yeah.
Llewellyn
I've heard it.
is the main character from No Country for Old Men, another Coen Brothers movie,
Which is
that
great.
is my favorite movie of all time.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
It's great.
That's
it's
interesting.
super good.
I haven't watched it for a while. I need to watch it again.
I love
Yeah.
No Country for Old Men. I've watched it 24 times at least.
Wow.
I love it.
Okay.
Who
Sarah,
wins?
Sarah, I agree
Carlton?
I agree with Carlton. I go with Carlton.
My problem is when we look at the cast that we've already assembled,
Right,
Carlton does not fit in that cast.
We gotta fit it. We just gotta take each one as they come.
Who was yours?
Mine was I don't even
Will
remember.
Smith? No, Eddie Murphy.
It was freaking Kumail Nanjiani.
I feel like Kumail actually probably wins. I love Oscar Isaac as much
okay,
as the next
so-
person, but he's not an like. I would believe Kumail's an idiot.
Kumail this would be the role where
Carlton is an idiot.
for Kumail,
he's-
this would be the role where the critics are like, he can do drama. And we need to give him that opportunity.
Yeah.
It's like when Steve Carell was in that movie where he was the guy that killed the Olympic athletes.
Foxglove.
Yeah,
Fox.
No.
Foxcatcher.
Foxcatcher.
Yes, where everyone
was
like,
so good.
right, where everyone was suddenly like, oh, Steve Carell can do drama. And it's because comic actors are actually
Better
very good at drama.
than drama.
That's
because
true.
they know timing.
Right.
So I'm going to give it to Kumail. I agree.
All right. Dang.
Wonderful.
What an
Well,
upset.
good for you
I give it
guys.
to Carlton, but I'll take the Kumail.
Well, I agree with Patrick that he probably doesn't fit with the rest of the cast.
All right.
Werner Herzog and Christoph Waltz are up here like, we have Oscar awards, we are from Germany. And then Carlton comes in. It's not unusual to be loved.
It's him in his 20s. It's just Sandra.
Oh, man.
All right, Marie.
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 Okay, get ready.
Sam Patty. No.
Vanessa Ann Hudgens.
Okay, honestly, I don't know why we give you casting privileges.
Okay, whatever. I just got the last one.
He's more of a producer.
Yeah.
Sure.
I think it was
What?
just, I don't know. What? It's I don't know. She like hardly has a role.
Marie?
She's
Marie?
Not, she's not in it that
Marie,
much.
the
Oh my
baguettes,
God.
hurry up.
All right, who you-
Andres is not in it that much.
Yeah, it's
Marie
true.
is in it.
True. Vanessa Ann Hudgens. Okay, who you got, Sarah?
Maya Hawke.
Who the heck is that?
Oh,
She
Ethan Hawke's daughter,
Yes,
Stranger Things.
Stranger Things. The girl in it. The one that
Which-
dates my boyfriend in it.
Nancy?
The one I love.
No. The one that works at the ice cream store.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Great.
All right, so here's where we get interesting. For Woyzeck and Marie, I have 2 for each because, hear me out.
Are you double casting?
No.
It's not allowed.
First, I cast like who I think would be amazing in these roles.
Mm-hmm.
Then I looked at my decisions and I was like, these people are both too old. Woyzeck is 30.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
says in the play that he's 30. And based on like cultural context, Marie is most likely younger than him.
Mm-hmm.
Probably by a few years. So then I cast a second pair as 30 and under.
Okay. So sometimes we do cast pairs together.
Yeah.
So are you pitching a pair of people?
Yeah, I'm pitching a pair.
He's
Do you want me to pitch my pair right now?
Pitch your pair.
So my I'm not going to call them the old pair because they're both great, but my established pair.
Okay.
Marie is Viola Davis.
Yes.
And Woyzeck is Willem Dafoe.
Dang.
Whoa.
Dang. That's hard for me to swallow
really
in this play.
Viola is
the
greatest actor of the 21st century, maybe beyond.
Wow.
Willem Dafoe's a chameleon. He plays so many roles so well.
You might call him a goblin even.
You might.
Yes.
That's a spot on his filmography, I will say. Sorry, Spider-Man.
Really? So good. Whatever.
But
keep going.
He's so, not sinister, but he's so visceral, I think, in his acting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I could see him, like, breaking down. And Viola Davis is such a good, like, I think of her in Fences.
Oh, my
She's
gosh.
so good at being, like, the long-suffering wife,
yes.
but also, like, the strong, independent woman.
Yeah.
And this, like, I can't wait for Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, her movie that's coming out in, like, a few weeks on Netflix.
Yeah.
I know.
If she doesn't win the Oscar this year, I will burn LA to the ground. That is a threat. Anyways, when her acting is so, she is so appropriate for this play, I think, in this movie, of this play. Because she can do so much with so little.
Yeah.
When she's in doubt, when she's on screen for like 10 minutes or less, and she just like is so good and she just soaks you in. She's just, Viola Davis, if you're listening, and I know you are, I love you. I think you're the greatest actress alive. And you and Meryl Streep's friendship is what I aspire in all my friendships.
Wow.
That's
beautiful.
all.
I will say.
I mean, your passionate pitch of it is admirable. I just don't agree with those two. But go ahead, Sarah. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say about Viola Davis, I wish she wasn't on How to Get Away with Murder because I feel like it lessens her streak.
Girls got to pay the bills. Once a week TV shows pay the bills, okay?
Very true. No,
gotta keep
I
the
get
lights
Also,
on.
she has spoken up in the past about how she gets offered so many roles in movies that are not what she considers of her caliber and like supporting roles. And she's like, I am a great actor. I'm not going to take these like lesser roles.
Yeah, I'm the leading lady.
So I get why she would take a TV show. I'd take a TV show. Like, she's got to pay the bills. Okay, we're going to get on a tangent real quick. Our dear friend Nick Monaldo and I were recently talking about our Lord and Lady Meryl Streep and how she gets chastised often because she does a lot of bad movies, which she is good in, but they are objectively bad movies. But Meryl Streep, I think, likes to work. And she's of the mindset that, like, I want to keep working. I want to do movies because this is what I do. She's no freaking Daniel Day-Lewis, all due respect, where it's like, I can take one movie every 7 years.
Yeah.
She's like, I want to take movies because I want to make money and I want to do work, and this is, like, what I do. And I think Viola's the same way. Like, I'll take this Shonda Rhimes show because it's good money and it's work. It's constant work.
And she's still good on it.
She's still good on it, and she's a central focus.
Right. And not that she's just doing it for the money, but I think she's doing it because she likes to work. And because I think that especially female actors in Hollywood have this like fear that if they don't keep taking jobs, they're going to get shoved aside, especially when they're over the age of 40. That if they don't keep taking work, eventually they're going to not become interesting.
Forgotten.
Right. They're not, Robert De Niro can sit on the sidelines for 2 years and then come back and take a role. He's great, but like he'll always be Robert De Niro.
Yeah.
Right.
But like I feel like someone like Viola Davis, if she just like sat out of the industry for like 3 years, people would forget that she existed because they're so dismissive.
Yeah, she's not there yet.
In defense of Viola and Meryl, who are best friends and who I love, that's all I have to say.
All right. So great.
Wait,
so who's your younger couple?
For you and Nick.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
Who's the Meryl? Who's the Viola?
Whoa.
I'm the Meryl, Nick's the Viola. And we both know that. And Nick, if you're listening, you know it's true. Just today, Nick told me that I'm Bob Fosse and he's Gwen Verdon. It's just how it is.
Wow, he gave that to you?
He knows he's Gwen. It's just how it is.
Wow.
C'est la vie.
C'est la vie. Such is life. All right, who's
you
your
speak
younger?
French, you can't speak German.
True. Working on it.
Come on, Smelter.
I know.
Wait, so
All
did
right.
we hear everyone's Marie?
Not yet. Oh yeah, we got everybody's Marie.
Wait, refresh my memory.
Vanessa Ann Hudgens.
Oh, yeah.
I can't believe you made him repeat it. Maya Hawke.
Yeah. Okay, great.
And then you.
So do you want me to give you my younger
Yeah.
pair,
your
and then you can give me your
younger
voice?
Yeah.
My younger pair, as Marie, Florence Pugh.
Ugh, we love her.
You
As-
know I'm obsessed with
As
her.
Woyzeck,
Yeah.
George McKay. Most recently seen in 1917.
Ooh, missed that one.
Yeah, we didn't watch it.
We missed it.
Okay. Listeners, listen up. 1917,
So
Did you say
good.
James
I've
or
heard it's great.
George
George
McKay. He's a British actor.
I love
1917, just a visually stunning film, and George McKay is the main soldier who literally is just on screen the whole time.
Yeah.
And he conveys so much complexity with such subtlety. He's so relatable.
Yeah.
He's so human. He's so proletariat in the way that he does this part. And then in the other things that I've seen him in, he was in some like weird Hamlet movie thing where it was like Hamlet from the point of view of Ophelia, and he was Hamlet.
Yeah, it's called Ophelia.
There it is. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I just think he is one of my favorite like up and coming actors ever.
That's amazing.
And so I was like,
Respect.
I have to pick an actor who's 30 or younger. And he's like, what, 27 or 28 maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Love those picks.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
Florence
he's cute.
Florence Pugh was on the list even before I realized that I should
Sure.
make it 30 and under.
I mean,
She
because
is
she-
my favorite actress.
Yes.
Favorite celebrity, favorite person.
Yeah.
I could watch her eat her 25 days of Christmas chocolates
Yes.
forever.
Agreed.
On Instagram
Agreed.
every day. I love her so much. Dang.
That's hard to beat.
That is hard to beat.
Yep.
I feel very good about my Woyzeck.
Okay, who's your Woyzeck, Sarah?
Okay. You guys might not recognize him by his name.
Oh,
You'll recognize him by his face.
okay.
His name is Evan Peters.
What's he in? What would
He's
I
on
know?
American Horror Story.
I don't watch that.
Yeah, I don't watch that.
Well, looks like you won't get any votes on this one.
I don't
Oh
know.
my
I don't know.
gosh.
I have nothing to
He's
go
in
off of.
X-Men. He's in Kick-Ass. He's
He's
in
an
Dark Phoenix.
He's an X-Men?
What does he play? Quicksilver.
Oh, he's Quicksilver in X-Men.
I almost cast the guy who plays. Oh, who did I? I almost cast an X-Men actor as Woyzeck as well.
Oh, that one. Yeah. Nick, what's his name? The one who plays the young beast?
Yes.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yes.
That's
What's
it.
his name?
I don't remember. Nick something.
Nick Holt. Nicholas Holt.
Yep.
Yeah. He was on my short list.
Yep.
Okay. Interesting
I
choice.
love him.
I know. Me too.
Yeah. I don't know.
I could definitely see that.
He's a dark, sad boy.
He's a dark sad
Love
boy.
a good dark. You know who is also on my short list? Who is a classic dark sad boy?
Who?
Adam Driver.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I love Adam freaking
Adam's
Driver.
so
Actually,
good.
can I change mine to Adam Driver?
Sure.
I'm
Are you
changing mine.
serious?
My original one was Pete Davidson. We're gonna stop. We're gonna throw that out. Okay.
In your comedy.
Yeah, in my comedy, in my doc comedy, it was gonna be Pete Davidson. Now it's Adam Driver. I claim it.
Adam Driver was on both of my like traditional lists and my young actors list because he's only like 36 or 37. So
Yeah.
I was like, he could pass for 30.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
But
And he-
Florence Pugh's only like 25, so I was like, that might be a little weird, but whatever.
whatever.
She can do
Yeah,
it.
and freaking Adam Driver, he was a Marine, so he's all about it.
Exactly. He knows.
Yeah. Okay. I really like your pairing, Patrick. Sarah.
Which one? Which
your
pairing?
your younger pairing.
Younger pairing.
Younger pairing. I
Yeah.
can't do the old pairing just because of the I don't know.
Is-
Age I think
yeah.
has something to do with
Your
it.
guy
I think
too
it's
much of a
important.
Pretty boy.
He is a little bit of a pretty boy, but I think that this is his chance. I think this is his. He's like on the cusp of
His
stardom.
bone structure is
He's-
psychotic.
He's very British. He's very British.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't have like a
What about
I mean
Adam,
like with
what about Adam Driver and Florence Pugh?
with Adam Driver, it's like it's too much of a star turn. Like Adam Driver is too big. I think with the smaller movie star person, I think that's a better choice
Mine
for a
is very
Woyzeck.
like
Woyzeck.
A24 like independent film
Yes.
casting where it's unless you do Viola Davis, but it's
Yeah.
like not
No,
big stars.
we're not
you
doing
know?
Viola Davis.
Okay, well, sorry Viola. I guess you're gonna have to go playing like characters that you don't want to play.
We'll put her in Sister Act 3. It'll be
I
great.
was trying to bring ethnic diversity to our casting.
We have.
Wait, did we? I tried to as
We
well.
got Kumail.
Okay, Kumail.
We've got, well, I tried to, I guess, everybody independently, but then we only chose white actors.
I wanted Sasha
All right,
Baron
so are we
Cohen,
saying
so-
Florence Pugh is Marie?
Florence Pugh is Marie.
I think Adam Driver is Woyzeck.
Okay.
All right. It'll be a whack.
I
I'd love to
love
see
it. I love it.
to
I
see
love it.
Okay, great.
So to conclude today, I think Patrick and Will split the win with 3-3. Am I wrong?
Did you get any?
Okay, let's not rub it in someone's face.
No, I didn't. Sorry, I didn't.
No, I didn't get any this time. I do feel like I brought forth strong candidates.
I don't
You
know.
did.
Can we give
And
Will a point?
and also I don't feel like I deserve Adam Driver because I
was
didn't
gonna
have him
say,
down.
Can we give Will a point for Adam Driver? It was not his idea. It was,
It was-
my idea that he then co-opted
Yeah.
into his idea.
Remember, mine was Pete Davidson.
I'm going to take a half
which
point for that
I
one.
maintain.
All right.
I maintain Pete Davidson would
All
make
right.
an okay Woyzeck.
Hey, you get 2. Patrick gets 3.5.
Great.
All right, you win.
For sure.
Undefeated on this podcast, might I add.
Oh
We'll
man!
see
So
you
that's
next
casting the
time.
freaking play.
That's casting the freaking play.
Shall we start with some questions? Oh wait, no. What are we watching?
What are we watching? What are you into?
Yep.
Recently, I have started the show Pose,
Oh, yeah.
which is very good. I feel very empowered and emotional while watching it, and that's not even like any form of my lifestyle featured on screen. But you know what? I applaud them, and I'm for it.
Great. Is that on the Netflix?
It is, and actually, Ryan Murphy does in fact direct it, which I
Oh,
have a
gosh.
complicated relationship with him because I feel like
Yeah.
his Gianni Versace was spectacular. And then I saw, what was his most
Hollywood.
recent one? Hollywood, and I wanted to die.
He's got a deal with Netflix
Yeah.
where he has now hit the point where he is churning out so much content.
Mm-hmm.
Statistically, it cannot all be good.
No.
And I've never been a huge fan of his. I definitely respect the work, and it's surprising that I'm not a huge fan of his because I love over-the-top spectacle,
Right.
which is what he
Which is
does.
what he
but
is.
I don't know if I love that in TV or
I would
But
say
he
Pose
has
is
this.
good.
Yeah, he has this deal with Netflix where every month I feel like there's a new Ryan Murphy something.
Yeah.
Prom that just came out today or yesterday
Yeah.
is Ryan Murphy
Ryan Murphy.
produced.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
So
Oh, I thought he directed it.
maybe, yeah.
I think-
So it can't all be good. It
Yeah.
cannot all be
Sure.
good.
Yeah, I didn't love Hollywood or whatever, but I feel like Pose has a good message. It's a period show, which I'm into. It's in the
Cool.
80s, so yeah,
Great.
watch it, learn it, love it, and Great British Festive Bake Off is good.
Always good. And not much since the last time we met, but Charlie Brown Christmas. Rewatched that with my.
Christmas time is here. That's my real singing voice, everyone.
That's really nice.
2 degrees.
It's always a classic. I rewatched it with my house today at school. It was great.
Oh, fun.
Yeah.
love that for
Yeah.
you.
What you got, Patrick?
Ooh, well, because it's Friday, there was a new episode of The Mandalorian today.
Yes,
And
I haven't watched it yet.
It's so good. I just have to say, objectively, whether or not you're a Star Wars fan, whether or not you're into sci-fi, The Mandalorian is objectively a fantastic TV show. It's just well written. It's well acted. It's good.
not always well acted.
yeah. I would disagree with that. But
Okay, the only one I don't like is Cara Dune.
Cara Dune is terrible, and that
What about that one
she's not
red-haired lady?
she's not in it that much. The I don't know.
She's
She's
still a
I just
the one
think
that
it's-
he runs into in Tatooine. It doesn't matter.
I think it's Amy Sedaris.
Yeah.
She's an icon.
Yeah, she
I think
is.
it's just such a good. It's the production design is so good. I think the way that they pay homage to classic Star Wars, but also bring in new parts of the canon.
I appreciate that.
And it's also I love the show because you don't have to be a Star Wars fan to like it.
Yeah.
It exists outside of that universe. It's a very classic Western. It's a Western. It's
Yeah,
a
it is.
gunslinger, traveling from town to town, taking out the bad guys. It's very classic.
Wow.
I love The Mandalorian.
Patrick, I didn't know you were a huge Star Wars fan.
Huge.
Until recently.
Huge.
When I saw it on your Instagram story, and I was like, "Oh, you like Star Wars?" I didn't know.
Yeah, and
Love it with my whole being.
and they just made a bunch of huge announcements yesterday.
Oh my god!
That could be a whole separate podcast.
Disney is just
I know. I tried catching up just in the Marvel part, and then
the Marvel part was exhausting.
20 new posts on Instagram. I was like, I can't
I was working when the announcement came out, and I like opened my phone to so many news article notifications, texts. It's just a lot.
Yeah.
But I am excited.
Great.
I love it.
All right, down to our 3 questions. What is your crush? Is the first question. Sarah, do you have an answer? I'm putting you on the spot.
Because
I definitely don't have an answer right now. Oh, maybe I do. Yeah, I do.
Oh, okay. What's your crush, Will?
Those little pre-made cookies that you buy at the grocery store that you haven't baked yet, and they're like Pillsbury, and they've got the little cartoon on the inside of them. They're like just basic sugar cookies or whatever, and you buy them frozen, and then you put them in the oven, or you eat them raw. They're safe to eat raw.
They taste better raw. TBH.
That's my crush.
That's a good one.
Yep. It's my last 2 crushes have been food, so that's where my head's at.
No, I love that. I would say the Christmas season is my crush.
Christmas time is here.
I don't know. Like, Will and I feel like we haven't had like a Christmas season because like we lived in a climate that was warm.
This Christmas feels like the very first Christmas to me. That's from SpongeBob, everyone.
Wow.
SpongeBob.
So I feel like I haven't had it in a couple years, and I'm just feeling the Christmas spirit for the first time in a while.
It's kind of nice. We don't have to.
Nice.
Yeah, we don't have to travel this year very much.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Which is
good. It's good for you too.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Patrick,
what do you got? What's your crush?
I've been thinking while you've been talking of 2, and I'm gonna go with the less exciting one. Kale.
What is wrong with you?
Sorry, kale in smoothies.
Okay.
I've been on a breakfast smoothie kick the past few weeks, and I threw a few kale leaves in there. You can't taste them, but you know they're there. And may I be crass, they make you regular, okay?
Okay.
You will shit like you never shit before. Put that explicit warning on this podcast. But it's true. And my smoothies they're very berry-based. It's a lot of like blueberries, raspberries, blackberries, maybe a few peaches every now and then. Frozen fruit, a few kale leaves, a little Greek yogurt, a little almond milk, some chia seeds, some flax seeds. Those help with the regularity. Trust me. But the kale is there, and you know it's there, but you never taste it. And I love it. And I get greens in my diet from the moment I wake up. I love kale in smoothies. I am not a crook, okay?
All right.
That's all I gotta say.
I'm convinced.
Patrick, what's your more exciting one?
Yeah.
Oh, it wasn't that much more exciting. But I recently cataloged and organized my vinyl collection.
And that's your crush.
Wow.
Because I'm in like such a transitionary period of life, like my vinyl collection had kind of been like away in a box. I hadn't really touched it for a while. I hadn't had my good speakers out, but I'm living with my parents. Full disclosure. I've got a little like office set up in the basement right now where I do my teaching and where I like just like have. For the first few months, I was like doing all my stuff in my bedroom, but that's too much. I needed a separate space. So I went to the basement, set up a little desk, set up my keyboard down there. We're all ready to go. But like this past week, I finally like got my good speakers out of the box. I got my vinyl, I got my turntable out, and I like set it up with my computer, with my keyboard. So it's all there. It's all here.
That's beautiful.
And so now I've been like, I cataloged my vinyl. And because I wanted to ask for a few new things for Christmas, a few new records that I didn't have. But I wanted to make sure, like, sometimes I forget. Do I have it? So I cataloged it, know what I do have, know what I don't have. And now I've been doing the thing where I, like, put the record on. And there's a really simple pleasure from putting a record on and listening to it from start to finish. You know? We live in the age of, like, Spotify, where we just, like, shuffle our playlists. But to put an album on, to listen to side 1, and then have to flip it over, listen to side 2, and to hear it the way that the artist intended it, and to like not have other things coming in at the same time.
Right.
It's very. Yeah. I sound like a dick, but it's very pure, and I love it. And a few albums that I've listened to this week: Dame Janet Baker, sings Sea Pictures by Edward Elgar with the London Symphony Orchestra. Side B is Jacqueline Dupre playing the Elgar Cello Symphony. One of my top 5 albums of all time. That one is a killer. That one's a killer. Ella and Louie, their first album. Ella Fitzgerald and Louis Armstrong. Their first great album, start to finish, banger. Those two stick out in my mind.
Great.
They were great. Oh my God. Dietrich Fischer-Dieskau and Gerald Moore. Schubert's Die Schöne Müllerin. That's a good one. That one will make you feel things. All right. That's it.
Beautiful.
I'm so sorry. I felt like my Christmas season one was lame, so I have 2 more.
Great. Great.
When your boss lets you off early.
Okay.
That's a hard crush.
That's a hard crush for sure.
I got let
Unexpected.
Unexpected, and it was spectacular. Another one, Taylor Swift's Evermore surprise album.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Oh, when I tell you I freaked out, and yesterday was one of the longest days of my life. I'm not kidding.
Because you had to wait until midnight or 11, I guess.
Yeah, and then Will and I accidentally woke up at like 5 this morning, and I literally watched Willow, the music video, as soon as I woke up.
Great.
As one does.
As one does. You just watch Taylor Swift music videos at 5 a.m. Yeah.
All right. I have another crush. I'm sorry. 3.
No,
great.
Please.
One of my friends from college has been asking questions on her Instagram recently about like people's favorite things from 2020, and I loved it. I loved reading the responses. I just love knowing what people think.
Okay.
I loved yours.
So I did the same thing. I asked people's favorite movies, favorite books, all that stuff, and I have loved what people say because I love knowing what people have enjoyed this year.
Yeah.
And I've also gotten some great recommendations for like movies, TV shows, books, etc. That's been really good.
Dang.
The books especially were good because TV shows and movies, like a lot of the same responses. People watch a lot of the same things, which is typical. But books are so...
Oh my gosh, there's so many.
There's so many. And it depends on like what are you into? Are you into fiction? Are you into nonfiction? Are you into memoirs? Are you into whatever? And so the responses were really interesting.
Yeah.
Very nice.
At G Patrick Graham, it's my Instagram. Feel free to follow.
Great.
Patrick, what's your real first name?
My real first name is Gene, as in Gene Kelly or Gene from Bob's Burgers.
Or your father?
Or my father, who I'm named after. But not everyone knows Gene Graham, so I have to give them points of reference.
I feel like they know Gene Graham.
If you're listening to the show, you probably know Gene Graham, attorney at law based in Independence, Missouri. He specializes in employment law, so if you've been wrongfully terminated, feel free to hit him up.
Great.
I'm dead.
You've also got a pretty great Twitter account as well. I follow it.
Also
it's pretty funny.
at G Patrick Graham. Yeah, it is. My most recent tweet was after I bought some wine this evening. I left the liquor store, and the liquor store had a huge display of Kim Crawford's Sauvignon Blanc. And I also bartend at North Italia in Leawood. Come see me there. And oftentimes I get middle-aged white people saying, do you have Kim Crawford? Do you have Kim Crawford? So I tweeted tonight, who the hell is Kim Crawford? Because honest to God, who the hell is this woman?
She sounds like...
Everyone's asking for her fucking Sauvignon Blanc. Who the hell is Kim Crawford? And what gives her the right to make this Sauvignon Blanc? So, at G Patrick Graham, give me a follow, give me a like, give me a retweet.
Oh my gosh.
We will for sure.
We will. 100%.
Do we feel hot today, everybody?
Oh my gosh.
Sarah?
Yeah, I feel pretty good.
Great. Yeah, she does. Yeah, she does.
Yeah.
Okay,
well,
great.
Do you feel hot today?
I feel all right, I guess. It was a free dress day today, kind of. One kid said I look like a student, so...
I feel like you get that a lot.
I do get that a lot, so yeah. Oh. Yeah, that's all I can say about that. Patrick, you feel hot today?
You know, I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10.
Okay.
Didn't shower today.
That's fair.
A little dry shampoo.
Oh, yeah.
Stayed in my sweats for most of the day until I got ready to come here.
Oh, yeah.
Wow, that's the opposite of us.
Well, I'm sorry. I'm not a full-time working man. I'm struggling. The cats are doing something, dear listeners.
They're having a time. Oh.
But I also have had a half a bottle of Chenin Blanc, which is a great white wine for any of you white wine drinkers out there. So that makes me feel decent.
It makes you feel hot.
Great.
It wasn't water.
Spoiler alert! It wasn't water.
Mystery solved.
Mystery solved. That strange pouring noise that made you have to use the bathroom. Is that our podcast?
And final question. Are you mad at me? Sarah, are you mad at me?
No.
Yes.
Actually.
Patrick, are you mad at me?
I never could be mad at you, Will.
Oh, that's a great answer. I love it. All right, Sarah's turn.
Will, are you mad at me?
No, I love you.
Okay. Patrick.
No, I love you. All right, my turn.
I love it.
Sarah, are you mad at me?
No, never.
That was fake, dear
Whoa.
listeners. Just kidding. I know Sarah would never be mad at me.
Oh.
Will, are you mad at me?
Patrick, of course I'm not mad at you. The only reason I might be mad at you is we've created this 2-hour plus podcast that I've got to go edit.
Seriously, 2 hours plus?
Yeah.
Oh, dear listener.
Oh, dear.
If you're still with us, we love you.
We do love
But
you.
it's been a ride, man.
You know, I have to say, honored to have been included on this podcast.
Patrick.
Listeners, I just want to let you know, the dressing room was amazing. The food in there, fantastic.
Top of the line.
The driver that picked me up from the airport, so kind and courteous.
Oh yeah.
Really, the hospitality has just been unmatched. The snacks that they have in the green room, fantastic. So I just have to say, if any of you ever get the opportunity to be on Will and Sarah in the Morning, I don't know what this podcast is called. It's called the PlayWrights. I'm kidding.
Yeah, you gotta plug us.
It was a joke.
You gotta plug
It was
us.
a joke. If any of you ever get the opportunity to be on the PlayWrights, I would take it because the perks are good enough. For the company, even better.
Wow. Dang, man.
We paid him to say that. No, I'm just kidding.
And this
Yeah,
podcast
here's
tonight
her.
is brought to you by ZipRecruiter. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/PlayWrights for 20% off your first purchase.
And
I wish.
also by Anchor.fm.
All right. We love you.
And
good night.